ladies and gentlemen. Built on topics, whether conscious or cosmic. It's never nonsense, mega levels or microscopic. It's a Killa Priest project, AD control the rocket. Before we land the plane, many things we engage and explain. The unexplained, without mask. Welcome to the Killa Priest podcast. Killa Priest podcast.
Oh, we in effect.
Yo.
Today.
We are live.
We live. We good?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Man, peace, everybody, man. Welcome to another Killa Priest podcast. I'm your host, Killa Priest Iron Sheik from the Middle East. I'm almost there, so prepare to say peace. And running the rock is none other than AD Dizzle.
Peace, what's good? Welcome back. It's going to be a wild show. You already know. Let's go.
Man, shout out to the craft room, man. I see Voltage in the building. All the moderators coming through. I want to say today gonna be a special day, man. You know who we got you know who we got back. Did they see him already?
Yep.
Oh, my bad, man. My bad. Let me do this right then. Man, I thought he was in the background to the comments. Listen, this brother needs no introduction, but I'm gonna give him an introduction. His studying, I mean, from years. Y'all know his history. He came on here before. We're gonna go through it again. But he's got some groundbreaking discoveries, and it's been going on for a very long time. And he's going to unfold and unpack this truth right now. None other than my man, all the way from Hawaii, Chuck Morgan, man. Give it up. Yeah.
All right, my man. I appreciate that.
What's up, my brother?
What's going on? Killa
Priest.
Priest. Yeah, brother. Been a long time coming.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
This won't take long.
All right.
Probably my brother.
All right.
Well, we got the family. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So listen. Is that man? Hold on. Hold on. Let me give me 1 second. Something happened on this. Oh yeah, I got it now. All right, I can hear me clearly?
Yep.
All right.
Gotcha.
So it's been a controversy. There's been a lot of controversy. This thing been going on through most of the spiritual, religious sects. I know the Nawapians, the old Nawapians used to talk about it. The Israelites amongst them. Hold on, give me 1 second. The Israelites were talking about it. Islam, I don't see them going too far into it, but they do touch on it. Hold on, give me 1 second. And it's about Kush.
Mm-hmm.
Kush and Kish.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been saying all this time, and I'm gonna start with my main man, the one who with the master plan, Chuck Morgan. A lot of people say that Kish and Kush are the same people. Some new discovery has been discovered. Oh, I'm on now. Yeah, man. Just Chuck, the floor is yours, my brother. Take us there.
All right. I appreciate that. It's not a complicated issue, actually, because Kush, you have the Kush in the Bible, and then you have, of course, Kish, Kush of in Africa, and then we have this Kish, which is in northern Mesopotamia. What I intend to do, I'm going to share my PowerPoint shortly. I just wanted to lay a couple of things down. I'm not coming off as if I am an authority on the topic. I have done some extensive research in this area, and particularly this PowerPoint, which took about a year and some months. Haven't had a chance to really get into it, but I just had it on hold, as well as a number of other PowerPoint presentations. I appreciate you for allowing me to come on your platform to share with your audience my research. And my contribution to this is I wanted to put in the record a counterpoint to some of the accepted views in certain segments of the internet, or in particular YouTube, because on a number of platforms I've heard this commentary on it, and then I've heard read a couple of things on it, but I haven't seen any real data and or documentation that seriously addressed it. And I just wanted to just kind of bring that into the equation. Now, what I do, aside from what you're familiar with my body count when it came to dealing with certain quasi-religious cults, etc. This whole thing pertaining to Sumeria, not Sumeria, Sumer, Mesopotamia as a whole is something that I have always had a fascination with. And it was something that I got into technically by accident from watching an episode of Gilligan's Island, of all things, back in the late 70s. And there was just a quick episode of the professor was trying to interpret some cuneiform, some tablets that Gilligan had found that washed up on the shore, and they go through the whole storyline. But towards the end, the professor thinks that he has the key to getting off the island based on the cuneiform tablets. So towards the end, he gives this explanation of what the tablets are and what cuneiform for the just not necessarily Sumer, but just cuneiform as a wedge form of writing. And of course, he said that he thought he was reading it on how to get off the island, but in turn, it was showing how to get on the island. Ha ha ha!
Wow.
Funny story, but that left something with me that I indirectly, off and on, started getting into it. And over the years, getting involved with different groups. I worked at a place in Washington D.C. up from Howard University, House of Knowledge, and I've still had this fascination with Mesopotamia, and I really didn't start getting into it in depth until I guess the last 2 years. I have, reached out to certain people, Assyriologists, who assisted me in some of the articles that I've written over the years on this particular topic, Nibiru, Anunnaki, all this other stuff. And I had taken classes online that was based in Armenia, but because of the time schedule and a few other things that limited me, I had to pull out of that. But then I, touched base and got pretty, knowledgeable with Dr. Joshua Bowen and his lovely wife, Megan Lewis. And I'll be, yeah, I'll be Sunday. I plan to do an interview with both of them, as a matter of fact, on my YouTube channel. That's on Sunday, I think about 7 o'clock. But anyway, the point I'm making is that I was able to get some more in depth into the grammar of the Sumerian language, and that was very beneficial. When I can always touch base with them, and they would give me some pointers on things. And then I linked up with a young group of Sumerian students who had brought me into their fold. I don't know why they put me in one of the advanced classes, but nevertheless, they translate, or I have to say, we translate cuneiform tablets randomly. It's not something that you can just look at and then, oh, there's the answer. It took like a couple of weeks here and there. And in the process of doing that, you become more, what's the better word for it? You become more, I wouldn't say fluent with it, but you become more familiar with various signs and how they work. And my focus is more on the Third Dynasty, particularly under Gudea in Lagash. And one of the things I wanted to kind of illustrate a point. May I share my screen now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's go, y'all.
All right. Well, this is not the PowerPoint, but I just wanted to bring this. Oh, let me. How do you move this? There it is. Let me go to full screen. Yeah. All right. I just wanted to point something out here. Now, with this particular text, um, how do you what would you say? Hold on a second. Um, pause. Okay.
Are we reading right?
Huh? No, I
Are
just
we?
wanted to. Okay, so when you all right, like, let me give you a quick overview on something. Okay, so this is one of the first ones that we had translated, and what I wanted to show you was like up here and in the top. You see my cursor?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yes.
so what we have here, like, is the first one is what's called the Dinger sign. This
Mm-hmm.
sign right here looks like a little eight-pointed star. Okay, that is usually what denotes sky, heaven, um, the what do you call it? The syllable, if it's in reference to a deity, or a determinative, which is a classifier. And what is usually done is in Sumerian literature, what they do is they'll have this little star-shaped symbol here to let the reader know that what is to follow is the name of a deity or divine name, God, if you will. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So next to it is who that deity is. And this deity in particular is one named Nin Shuber. Nin Shuber. And Shuber is the word that's used for the land in Mesopotamia called Subartu. Okay. And the reason Nin was one of the first cuneiform signs that I remember for this obvious reason, because it's a word that represented lady and munis for woman for the obvious reasons here. If you
Yeah.
notice, yeah, and of course,
Wow.
and the Sumerians, they were keen on that, but I digress.
Mm. Mm.
Okay. Yeah. And so this deity here is just a minor deity. It's not like one of the major godheads in ancient Mesopotamia. What's the next line here, line 2, tells you what she was. And this sign here is what's known as a sukal. And sukal is what's used to denote like a secretary, an aide. Okay. And then we got the next word here. You have an na, an na.
Mm.
Now, like we had up here, you see the Dingir sign. I told you it could represent a deity. It can represent a syllable. It can represent an. In this case, it's used as a syllable here because this obviously is not a deity. So, but what it puts together, it represents the aid of heaven. And we notice because na here is from the genitive, which means or is denotes to be of something. Okay, and which is in actuality known as an ak. So what happens in Sumerian grammar, the ak takes on the previous consonant, which in this case would be the n from an. Okay, this is on, so it then absorbs that, and that's when it becomes taken over and becomes na. And the K in ak is dropped off unless there's another syllable that follows it. Okay. So the next line we have is nin ani. Nin ani is meaning for his or her, and that's usually in these dedication and foundational texts. It's in reference to being someone's beloved or lady in this case, because it's in the third person singular possessive, meaning his lady. So
Mm.
um, the person who is making this declaration would be the name that follows underneath, which is my man, which we know is Gudea. Gudea.
There.
Okay. So when you see this, that's Gudea. That's his name. And
That's the
he
guy
refers,
behind
say again,
you. That's the cat behind you, right?
that's my man. Yeah, that's little dude.
Go
and,
ahead.
And so um, he's the one who refers to her as his lady or his mistress. Okay, and then the next line is what he was, which is a patesse, patesse, and a patesse is the word insi or insi2, which is a ruler. In some texts, they have Gudea as Lugao, which is a great man, which is usually the word that's used for a king. But on
Yeah.
this particular text, it just has him as Insi. Okay. And he is the ruler of a toponym, which is Shir Burla. Shir Burla Ki K. Shuburla Ki K. Now, this Shuburla
Read that,
here.
brother. Read that. Brother, going through it. Go ahead. I love it. Go ahead.
Okay, so this Shuburla, it gets into what's an advanced area of Sumer that a Sumerian language that I haven't really processed. I'm getting into it, but it's known as a Diri compound, which is two or more cuneiform signs that are joined together to make a single reading. And that single reading, because it's followed by this symbol here, this sign is a key, which is represents a place. This is a determinative as well. Okay, this is a determinative as well. So this Shuburla is Lagash. Gudea is the ruler of Shuburla, which is a Diri compound, which is Lagash. And we know this to be the case because of this key here, and because the K, this is a K4 sign, which means that it's in the genitive, and this, oops, and just like with the previous example, that it then takes on or absorbs the it absorbs the word there, and it lets you know that it's coming to an end, and particularly of what the subject is here. So what we have is the goddess Nin Shuber, lady of Shabatu, who was a Sukal, an aid of heaven, and his lady, and that being Gudea, who was an NC and ruler of Lagash. It's real simple. I mean, this only took like I think it took about a day and a half to really get it down. And then
Yeah.
on the this would be on the flip side of this tablet, because on the back of it, that would be here, would be Aani. Aani. A2 is the cuneiform sign there, and that's usually representing a house, a temple, and in this case, this is talking about the place that he's going to do something about, which is um, building. Because you have in the next line, munadu, and the mu here, um, what was that? Okay, the munadu here, the mu is a conjugation prefix, and that tells you that the verb is about to follow, which is na here, and it's in the dative case for her or to him. It's a dedication. So this is what he is doing, because this symbol here, or this cuneiform sign here, is do three, and do three is how is a verb meaning to build. So he built a temple
That's actually
for in honor of his goddess, one of his goddess, which is uh, Nin Shuber. So that's just that's basically it. It's not anything complicated. But I just wanted to put that out there because that's something that I'm really. Oh, my thing is saying that's something that I'm really into, and I'm still a baby in it. It's still growing, and I think I got about 20 more years left on this planet, so I'm gonna go ahead and utilize that time as best I can. So
yeah.
let's get down to work on what we plan to deal with here. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna do the share again. Um, Let me close this out. Oops, let me close this out and go to the full screen.
Kush.
All right. Okay. Do you still? I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but where I see each, I can just click this out, right?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, let me hide it. Let me hide the thumbnail because it's kind of distracting me a little bit.
Mm.
Okay. Are
Well,
we
that's great,
ready?
man. Learning cuneiform, man. That was crazy. Yeah,
Say
go
again.
ahead. I said that's inspiring. Learning the cuneiform pics, the glyphs.
I was, I had a dialogue. I was on Smash Rockwell's channel, and
Mm,
what I find fascinating is to watch a lot of the brothers like Netaneb, Jaru,
mm,
I can't even. Oh, I'm going to leave anybody out. Smash Rockwell. I love how these brothers are able to take an ancient language, go through the grammar, and present it to an audience. It's
mm.
something. I mean, I get a kick out of it. So I was taking some Medunetter classes,
Mm,
short classes. Didn't. But my interest had been still with the Sumerian cuneiform, and
mm,
so I put my energy more, my focus more on that. And
mm.
because not that anything is wrong with it, but so many people are studying Medunetter, and I
Yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah. As soon as you come with a ziggurat, here they come with the Cheops and two more great pyramids. We understand that.
Mhm.
And I told them before, I said, the Sumerians going to be pissed off. I said this, they spent a lot of time making those ziggurats. And here I go, and I throw, everything's get shot straight to the Metanetta. Well,
Yeah.
it took them a lot of time, man, to build those things. So we have to give them some props. Let's go.
Yeah, and that, like I said, I just that was my interest, and so I mean, I have no intentions of teaching it for the most part. And besides, it in a Udubaya school, when a young scribe, it would take at least 20 years for a young scribe to even have a memorization of all of the cuneiform signs. Now, take that from what they have as let's go to the Neo-Assyrian period where you have the Sumerian text, or you have the what is it? Emigir, like you have Medunetter, you have Emigir. That is what the Sumerians refer to their language as.
Mm,
Um, you had all of those signs you had to memorize, which are in the hundreds, and then the Akkadian period when they started using the cuneiform script and started having the whole new vocabulary, and they started adding on various signs that stressed it out even more. And then the Hittites, they adopted it. The Amartu or Amorites, they started using it. Babylonians, Neo-Assyrians, and on and on and on. So you got literally thousands of cuneiform signs, and they look so similar depending on which one you are looking at. So that's why you have to have a sign list. I have a whole bunch of them, PDFs, et cetera, and books and everything, because it's just too numerous to just think you're going to memorize in such a short span of time. So anyway, I digress. So let's get right into it. So Kish and Kush, were they the same? Um, the object of this PowerPoint is simple. I may deviate from my PowerPoint reading. Is to bring some clarity, context, and chronology to the issue concerning the question of whether Kush and Kish were the same ancient civilizations. This claim has come up over the years in a minority of opinions without any definitive evidence which would lead one to a conclusion. My purpose here is to present and include my research into the argument and alternative to those claims in favor of a Kish Kush link. This presentation will seek to address three issues related to the Kish Kush similitude. One, the lack of a systematic presentation and introductory analysis of a Kish Kush link, the lack of textual sources affirming such a connection, a possible scribal error in combining Mesopotamian narratives with biblical figures. So, situated on an ancient branch of the Euphrates River, 80 kilometers, about half the distance from Washington, D.C. to New York, south of Baghdad in Iraq, sat Kish, one of 12 city-states that made up the Sumerian civilization in Mesopotamia. Kish is a collective name for approximately 40 mounds arranged in an oval measuring 1.5 by 5 miles. Occupations span the period from 3000 BC to AD 650. Occupation, according to archaeologists, began in the Jamded Nisr phase, and the city was of a major importance in the third millennium BC, and it declined in importance later, but remained in occupation until the Sassanid period, which is around 265. Okay, excuse me, I'm losing my voice because I've been up all night. Hold on. Excuse me. Located on the floodplain of the Euphrates River, 80 kilometers south of modern Baghdad, the city held an extraordinary position during the formative periods of Mesopotamian history. At that time, it seems to have been the only important city in the northern area, while there were several major centers in the south. The ancient Mesopotamians regarded Kish as the first city in which kingship descended from heaven after the great flood that had destroyed the world or their world. All right. So during the third millennium BC, rule over Kish implied dominance over the entire northern part of the plain, and the title King of Kish bestowed prestige. As you can see on the right, that is it was back in 1920 when they started doing excavation, and that's a joint effort from the Field Museum, the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, and another American company. So the Kish, excuse me, let me hold on.
Yeah, yeah,
The Kish,
man.
the Kish dynasty was one of the ancient Mesopotamian city-states located east of Babylon in what is south central Iraq. This dynasty ended when his last king of the first dynasty, Aga, was defeated circa 2660 by Gilgamesh, king of first dynasty of Uruk. Of the text mentioning Kish, one of the more famous references is Nam-Lugal, which is kingship, popularly known as the Sumerian king list. It mentions Kish, the Kish dynasty. This Sumerian king list was first composed around 2100 BC at Lagash. It's an important source, at least the verifiable chronology. One excerpt from line 40 and 42 says that after the flood had swept over the land and kingship had once again descended from the sky, the seat of kingship was in the city of Kish. This famous passage from the Sumerian king list mentions the city-state Kish. This set in motion the biblical storyline. The name Kush comes to us from the book of Genesis, chapter 10, verse 8 and 9. And you know the verse. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. I'm taking that from, of course, from the King James Version.
Okay.
And to date, there have been no successful excavations by archaeologists or Assyriologists mentioning the unattested Nimrod. Okay. Now, there are several theories on the topic of Cush and Nimrod. Recently, I came across at least one website where its contributors do agree that Nimrod isn't mentioned outside the biblical text. However, they theorized that based on the Sumerian king list, two individuals, according to them, best fits those characters, Cush and Nimrod. And according to them, one would be Meshki and Gesher, who they say was Kush, and En-Mekar, which is supposed to be Nimrod. Okay, so from the Sumerian King List 95, 103, it says Meshki and Gesher, the son of Utu, became Lord and King. He ruled for 324 years. Meshki and Gesher entered the sea and disappeared. In Mekar, the son of Meshki and Gesher, the king of Uruk, who built Uruk. Um, the theory that they put forth, and I'm leading up to a point, which is why I brought them into the fold here. This theory regarding Meshki and Gesher becomes problematic, in my opinion, if for no other reason. He's mentioned as the son of the sun, which is the sun god Utu, as well as he being a priest in the temple of Enana and said to have reigned for 324 years. His legend in the king list was that he went down to the sea only to ascend to the mountains, symbolic of the path of the sun. And also in the Sumerian king list, he's said to have ruled Uruk and not Kish. So that kind of knocks them out a little bit. Meshki and Gesher, his name isn't found on any additional text of ancient Sumer, nor at Kish. And with a hypothetical lifespan of 324 years, which our Assyriologists don't even they don't accept that. Any of those exaggerated lifespans, like 10,000 years and all this stuff, it had a whole different meaning. Which maybe we can get on that another time. Certainly, with the thousands of cones, cylinder seals, and clay tablets deciphered, his name should be found on one by now, and unfortunately, it's missing in all the Sumerian epics, administrative texts, and thus his existence among Assyriologists as a historical figure is in doubt. Now, Amikar, the son of Meshki and Gesser, is also regarded as the son of the sun being Utu. And in the Sumerian epic, Amekar and the Lord of Arata, you can go through that text because that's another important text that's going to come up later, possibly in regards to the Tower of Babel. Unfortunately, again, archaeologists have not been able to provide evidence on whether he too was a historical figure in the Sumerian literature, which brings us to this topic. The works of writers from the past who have or may have directly or indirectly planted the seeds of a Kish Kush connection were individuals with good intentions, I'm sure, such as Mother Drusilla Dungy Houston in her book, The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire from 1926, as well as George Cox, who made the following assertion. Kush colonized Mesopotamia around 2800 BC. Kushite subjects now settled in Babylonia as overlords of Mesopotamia and introduced there what the world has since come to know as Babylonian civilization. And you can find that in George O. Cox, African Empire and Civilization Heritage, as you see right here. Cox offered no reliable evidence in support of that argument, and had the Kushites indeed colonized Mesopotamia, there should be textual evidence or at best some iconography. And to date, there is none. And if this were true, it would place the Kushites in Kish during the reign of Etana, from the early dynastic periods of Mesopotamia dating to 2800 to 23 BCE via the Sumerian chronology, where it says, after the flood, various city states and their dynasties of kings temporarily gained power over the others. The first king to unite the separate city states was Etana, ruler of Kish, and they date that circa 2800 BCE. And you can find that, of course, in a glossing coming from the Encyclopedia Britannica. And In the Sumerian king list, you can get that from the Oriental Institute of Chicago, line 16. Etana, a shepherd, the one who to heaven ascended, the one who consolidated all the lands, became king and reigned 1,560 years. And here's a depiction of Etana with his wings there. You know, you got to understand that a lot of the Sumerian literature in these tablets is based on mythology. And it's not necessarily to be taken literal. And this is coming from the cylinder seal, the myth of Etana. Okay, Cox's arguments of a Kushite colonizing Mesopotamia is also problematic. What I've underlined was some of Cox's comments, particularly Babylonia, which is a key because Babylon was established after the military campaigns of Shahrukh, better known as Sargon of Akkad, who was the former cupbearer of Ur-Zababa, the king of Kish. And in fact, in Babylonian literature, the Dubsarene, or tablet writers and scribes, they inform us that the Babylonian Chronicles, which is what was Sargon who, they tell you that it was Sargon who had established Babylon. From the Babylonian Chronicles, ABC 19, line 51, and in front of Akkad, he built a city, which he named Babylon. And also in the Assyrian and Babylonian Chronicles, text from the cuneiform sources by this is a book by A. Kirk Grayson. The Babylonian Chronicles are a series of tablets in cuneiform which documents major events in Babylonian history. Now, I have to be careful on how I'm presenting this because my intent here is not to what's the best way I could say? It's not to come off as belittling or undermining any of the greats who taught us a lot of history in the past. But I wanted to illustrate this point because another great and noted author and brilliant thinker who was an advocate of a Kush and Kish connection being one and the same, and that was the late Ranoko Rashidi, who wrote the following. The early predominance of the lower Mesopotamian city, the Sumerians called Kish. One of their most ancient may be another bond between the Sumerians and the Nile Valley. The Sumerian Kish is apparently only a modification of the Nilotic Kush, and thus reflects an unsevered connection between the two territories. You can find that online, the Kushite Origins of Sumer and Elam by Ranoko Rashidi. You can find this on page 218. One of the strongest proponents of this Kush and Kish argument, void of any historical evidence, was the African American cult leader Dwight Malachi York. In one of his books called The Black Book, on page 200, he says that in his question, is Kish the same as Kush or Kush of the Bible? 19:6. He answers yes, and you will also find Kush in the Bible long before the Kush of Noah's time. Taseti Kish became Kush in the Bible. Okay, you can take that for what it's worth, but we're going to go into why this becomes problematic. Okay.
Okay.
So, we all set? Everything good?
Yeah. Priest stepped out real quick, but he's coming back.
Not a problem. Okay. So, in a publication by a noted scholar, Professor Yigal Levin of Ramat Gan University in Israel, his section, Nimrod the Mighty, King of Kish, King of Sumer, and Akkad. On pages 351 and 366 through 366, he offers some interesting, compelling research on the identity and origins of the Nimrod and Kush narratives. After surveying previous attempts to identify an historical Nimrod, the author then suggests that the biblical figure is modeled after the combined traditions about Sargon of Akkad and his grandson Naram Sin. On page 366, he offers a relative point to this topic. The later editors of the book of Genesis dropped much of the story and mistakenly identified the Mesopotamian Kish with the Hamite Kush. The Nimrod tradition was thus lost, and later generations, thus lost to later generations, save 5 remaining verses in the 10th chapter of Genesis. In the abstract, we read the following. The intent of this paper is to examine the story of Nimrod in Genesis 10, 8 through 12, offering fresh insight on both the historical background and the literary development of the passage. The article deals first with the passage's literal meanings, syntax, and extant text. The geographical context of the passage is shown to be distinctly Mesopotamian, Nimrod being the builder of Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and other Sumerian Mesopotamian and southern Mesopotamian cities, and then moving north to Assyria. After surveying previous attempts to identify an historical Nimrod, the author then suggests that the biblical figure is modeled after the combined traditions about Sargon of Akkad and his grandson, Naram Sin. Nimrod is the son of Kush. Sargon began his royal career at Kish right after the flood. Sargon, Naram Sin traditions reached the Levant during the 2nd millennium BCE, being combined by time and distance into a composite personality. The tradition reached its final form during the reign of Sargon II of Assyria, who added such themes as hunting to the story. The later editors of the book of Genesis dropped much of the story, and the Nimrod tradition, of course, was lost to later generations, save 5 remaining verses in the 10th chapter of Genesis. Now, while researching the claims by Kish and Kush advocates in preparation for this PowerPoint as it relates to the name Kush, I discovered some impactful information that I'm going to share with this audience. And there are 3 key words found in cuneiform sources that cuneiform sources and the literature are relevant to the topic. The 2 being homophomous, 2 words, of course, 2 words signed and spelled differently. They look the same as spelled differently. They sound the same, but it looks different. And anyway, here we have Kish, Kush, and Kush 2. I found this to be really impactful because, of course, we find Kish here, but we also in cuneiform, in Sumer, we have a word Kush. Because this little figure here, because you see the KUS in transliteration, that little here, it makes the SH sound. So Kish, instead of putting SH. So here we had same here. So Kush, and then you have Kush 2. The reason, if you ever come across this, or just to bring some clarity, because there's so many Sumerian logograms that are the same, they have to differentiate. At least the linguists, they just differentiate so you don't get confused. Is where they have to put a Kush 1, Kush 2, because this sign here is found in I think maybe 2025. But so they have to have this little subscript to let you know that it's talking about a specific spelling and meaning. So this one here is also like it's Kush, but we'll go into that. So the Unicode number 12187, this is Kish. First, we have Kish defined as totality, and its attestation can be found in an administrative text dating to the early dynastic 3A period, 2600, 2500 BC. The catalog source is what you see here before, early dynastic 3A. The second attestation goes to the early dynastic 3A in Shurapak administrative text and nothing regarding this word can be linked to the biblical Kush, nor the toponym Kish or Kush. Oh, where's that? Okay, where did I go? I went too far. Okay, so in the CDLI, the catalog number here, you can find this, of course, in the I can't pronounce it right now, in the Berlin Museum. If you go to the openly richly annotated cuneiform corpus or auroch, you'll have this whole thing explained in great detail. And this particular text here, you'll see it as well. That's where you have the VAT number there. And right here, you'll see it's Kish, right here. Small text. Okay, so the next one is the Unicode number 122E2 Su. And next, well, let me go. Next, we have Kush, used before names of leather items and animal hide. And for the record, this Kush can be found in numerous texts. My focus here is how it's being used in conjunction with the word gigi, which together, Kush gigi means black skin. Yeah. Hold on. But there's more. The word for skin here, Kush, is used as a determinative, a classifier for skin, or e.g., skin, leather, body. However, Kush gigi describes the black skin of specific animals, not people, and particularly Kushites. I think that's important because if, say, someone said, "Oh, I found the word," and they saw it in transliteration or even in a translation, and they'll see the word Kush in that Kush spelling, and say, "Oh, then we found it here." It's talking about black skin. This is talking about the people from Kush or the land of Kush. You see, but that's not how it is, because this being a determinative is letting you know that what is going to follow it is either an animal or some type of item for sales or in trade. So certainly if the Sumerians, in this case the scribes of Kish, wanted to say that they were black-skinned people, they would have simply written it in a text, but they didn't. Now, this word combination is only found on a Babylonian tablet and not from a Kish text. The primary publication we have here has the following: Kush gigi, black leather. That text mentioning, this is the text here, mentioning this, for example, has a list of various items, leather goods, livestock, metals, etc. Nothing in the text mentioning humans being or having black or brown skin, nor is it even mention the name Kush as what we know today. So, of course, for greater detail, you can refer to the digital corpus of cuneiform lexical text known as the DCCLT, and you'll find that, of course, at the Auroch Museum or the University of Pennsylvania. So, from the University of Pennsylvania website, I have it right here. This gives you a better illustration of it. So, when you see leather, metals, you see Kush, 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 all the way down. You see? And if you look at the translation, it'll come right here: Kush Dura Mashda, gazelle skin. Kush Mashda, skin of young gazelle. Kush Amar Mashda, mountain goat skin. And on and on and on. Kush Alim, wild sheep skin. Do you see the point?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, by the time we get over in this text where you see Kush Gigi, we see black leather. Kush Su'a, red leather. Kush Gunua, variated leather. You see how that's the point that I was making in trying to address this word Kush, because they have two words there. And I just wanted to put this out there so that if anyone ever comes across it, they'll know, at least based on the evidence that's been supplied. Now, maybe sometime down the road with the thousands of other texts that are out there, someone will come up with it and then it'll be fine. This is subject to change because, just like in science, as more discoveries are discovered, it may change the narrative. But currently, as we have it, this is where it stands. And of course, you can go to the electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature, where you'll find Kush throughout in the various texts you can see here. So I just put this up here just as another area where you can find Kush in those ancient texts that have already been translated and put up for public viewing. And for example, you have a proverb collection, 8 segment A, line 24 from the electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature, where it says that as a cat, it is its tongue that treats its skin. And of course, we have the symbol, the cuneiform sign here, Kush, in reference to the skin. So I just wanted to put that out there so people can see it. Okay, and that will be this little crazy cat right here. All right, and here we go on. We got the Unicode. This is another Kush. The Unicode number 12 to A8 is Sagunu, Kush 2, and Dual 3. See, some of these signs, depending on the period, they start to the way that they're identified, they have a different pronunciation and transliteration. So what finally we have here is the verb kushtu, which means to become tired, fatigued, exhausted, to be out of breath. This is explained by John A. Halloran in his book Sumerian Encyclopedia. I can't remember the name of it. I should put that down there. But anyway, it's John A. Halloran. You can find any of his work online. And we put up a text, Enki and the World Order from the electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature. You have an Ana while shutting up the Tigi and Adab instruments in their homes. You never grow weary with admirers looking at you. The only significance in this text that I wanted to point out was that how where you have D Igi, which is to see, D Iginu Kush, or Kush 2 right here. So that right there is telling you to become weary, and that or become weary or tired is why it says that you never grow tired or weary with admirers looking at you. So that's where we have it here. Okay. All right. All right. So Kush 2 is another word that, although it has the same pronunciation as the word Kush, it too has zero to do with the ancient people of North Africa, nor or the people of the Bible. The few people still holding that position, their claims are unfortunately lacking substantial or substantive support. Because the two may sound similar does not indicate a relationship. There's only so many possible sounds and sound combinations that humans can make. And since each language uses only small fractions of these, we tend to make words from foreign languages sound more like words in our own than they would be, that normally would be. And similarities in names and words are in many cases coincidental and may not show any sort of historical, etymological, or cognitive connections. So we're going to be wrapping this up now. The biblical Kush should not be mistaken for the historical Kishite or Kushite civilizations of North Africa and its capital in what is now northern Sudan. Kish, known today as Tel Al Umair, if I pronounce that right, Central Iraq, sits on the banks of the Euphrates River and not the Nile. Okay, then you have this illustration here. Okay, give you a good picture of that. In my research, I have found no substantive evidence linking Kish in Mesopotamia with that of the people of Kish of North Africa. And there were no depictions of Kushites found in Kish. And below we have, of course, the 25th dynasty of Kush in the Kerma Museum. And you see here you have Kish, Kush. And that's the way they had to spell it in, I think that's in the Medunetter. Okay, now we do have depictions of Kishites in their artwork. And the quality of art and craftsmanship changed considerably during the time of the Akkadian Empire, before Sargon's time. Sumerian art of the early dynastic period around 2900 to 2350 BCE was initially highly stylized. The figures had large, pointy noses, big eyes that were usually inlaid with dark stones. To the left is what appears to be a king or a guard walking a prisoner. It's a fragment of an inlaid work from Kish, circa 2700 BC, and you can find this in the National Iraq Museum, Archaeological Museum. Next, we have another fragment of a soldier based on the headdress there, at 2750 to 2600. The ground, the ground of this substantial inlay frieze from Kish is made up of irregular pieces of slate cut and fit together. You can find this in a great book. One of my favorite is The Art of the First Cities, the third millennium BC from Mediterranean to the Indus, page 90. And like the previous example, this depiction of someone in Kish is very different from those of ancient Kush, and more on that shortly. Oh, and you can find that, of course, in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. Here we have inlaid fragments of male heads that was excavated, and you'll find this also in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. It was excavated back in 1924, and then second expedition in 1926. So here we have a king of Kish. This shell plaque was found in the palace of Mari. It is dated to around 2500 BC. The Louvre currently identifies it as a Sumerian soldier because of the helmet and the shoulder armor and the battle axe. This is very familiar. You'll find that throughout Sumerian. You can go to the standard of Ore, where you'll see this all over the place. As examined in weapons, the tombs of Ore, he is not just a soldier, he is a king. He is a Sumerian king of Kish. This you'll find on the popular Sumerian, almost like an encyclopedia on SumerianShakespeare.com. You can check it out. In Mari, we're here in the Sumerian king list. In Mari, Anbu became king and ruled for 30 years. Anba, the son of Anbu, reigned for 17 years. Bazi, the leather worker, reigned for 30 years. Zizi, the fuller, reigned for 20 years. Limmer, the anointed priest, reigned for 30 years. Sharum Itir reigned for 9 years. In some, 6 kings reigned for 136 years. Then Mari was defeated and the kingship taken to Kish. Although a Sumerian king was usually shown, is what I find, was usually shown as having a shaven face. Whenever you go, you'll find him shaven face and shaven head. These bearded figures depict how a Sumerian king of Kish portrayed himself to his now subjects in Mari. Now this one here is during the Akkadian period. It's a seal from Kish during the Akkadian period showing 2 deities leading a worshiper into the presence of a third god here, whose lower body is in the form of what appears to be like a snake or some kind of a swirl. Yeah, you'll find that, of course, in the Ashmolean Museum because they have the largest a collection of artifacts from Kish there in the Ashmolean Museum. So by the time we're wrapping this up now. So by the time we find a reference mentioning Kush, Dynasty 25, is found in Ashurbanipal's inscription of the first Egyptian war, which mentions specifically the king of Egypt, who was at the time Taharka, the king of both Egypt and Kush. The inscriptions on the Rassam cylinder of Ashurbanipal mentions his first Egyptian war in 667 BC. There he specifically identifies Taharka, king of both Egypt and Kush. This is important because he's identified by name, Kerkuusi. Kerkuusi. This is not Kush. He doesn't say Kush because as we just went over, we have Kush clearly outlined. So the word that they used, at least in Mesopotamia at that time, was Kirkusi and not Kish of Mesopotamia. So you can see it right here. The Kush.
Oh, yeah. Don't get scared now.
Almost done. Almost done. In his right here is cylinder seal here. In my first expedition to Makan, I went to Harka, king of Egypt and Ethiopia, of whom Eshar Hadan, king of Assyria, the father, my begetter, his overthrow had accomplished and had taken possession of Egypt. This Egypto-Assyrian war was well documented in Assyrian literature, even celebrated. Um, Beginning with Ashurbanipal's father, Esarhaddon, who is said to have kidnapped members of Taharka's family. And to the left, you see what is known as the captured son of Taharka, uh, Ushkank, if I'm pronouncing it right, Uru, taken from the Victory Stele, or Victory Stele Stella. I'm using the British one. The Victory Stella of Eshar Hadan in 671. And you'll find that in the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, Germany. And the Victory Stele of Esher Hadan, where it says that of Tirhaka, king of Egypt and Kush, I slew multitudes of his men, and I smote 5 times with the point of a javelin, with wounds, no recovery. Memphis, his royal, in half a day with mines, tunnels, asphalts, I besieged, I captured, I destroyed, I devastated, I burned with fire. His queen, his harem, Asharharakon, I can't pronounce the name, sorry, his heir, and the rest of his sons and daughters, his property and his goods, his horses, his cattle, his sheep, in countless numbers, I carried off to Assyria. The root of Kush I tore up out of Egypt, and not one therein escaped to submit to me. And you can find parts of this in the ancient records of Assyria and Babylon by Daniel D. Luckenbill, PhD professor of Semitic languages and literature in the University of Chicago, volume 2, Historical Records of Assyria, Sargon to the end. Okay, and we have here a fragment from an article that I came across. A fragmentary cuneiform tablet K8692 informs us about the campaign against the ruler and land that were not preserved in the text. Line 22, 23 provide a key to the problem, where it says, okay, so the Assyrians of Mesopotamia had an interesting view of the people of Kush, at least as far as those in power at the time. And here's a description that's never mentioned specifically of Sumerians, but this is how he identified those people of Kush. His wives, his sons and daughters, whose bodies, like his, have skin as black as asphalt, he counted as booty. And you can find that by W.G. Lambert in Booty from Egypt. And you can, if you take the time, slow this or stop this. I can't put it in the chat or anything, but yeah, this is how they identified and described the people of Kush. And so the same way that they documented their interactions, relationships, and viewpoints with the rulers of Egypt, likewise there should be some documented evidence of Kishite interactions with the Kushites, or at times occupied. However, to date, at least I haven't found it, that documentation is absent. So long after Sumer and Yamana tablets, we do find carvings of Africans in Mesopotamian art. Left is the palace of Ashurnasirpal II at Nimrud in Iraq, made of ivory imported from Africa. It depicts a male from Kerma. And you can find this in the Met Museum in their art collection. And most of it is what says here from the metmuseum.org. Most of the ivories were probably collected by the Assyrian kings as tribute from vassal states and as booty from conquered enemies, while some may have been manufactured in workshops at Nimrud. The ivory tusks that provide the raw material for these objects were almost certainly from African elephants imported from the lands of Egypt. So, in closing, Kish was one of the greatest and most important city states of Sumer. To rule Kish was to make one the king of the kings or king of the universe, as Sargon used to say. Based on all of the available textual sources that have been translated, we find no mention of Kush from the Bible, Africa, nor an equivalent. This is not to suggest that there were no Africans living in Kish or Sumer. However, we find no evidence of an African aristocracy in the city state of Kish. Therefore, the claim that Kish was founded, controlled, or even occupied by Kushites would be difficult to support should one rely on the existing textual sources, verifiable iconography, and archaeological evidence. And above is mother of pearl inlay, a fragment, female musician with cymbals. You can find this at the Oxford Field Museum expedition to Kish 1924. And that's it. And that concludes. So let me stop sharing. Boom.
Oh man. Based upon the evidence.
I'm just going by that.
What we gotta talk about, huh?
I'm just going based on that. And I just, like I said, I wanted to put the documentation that I was able to research into the record, the official record, so that anyone who does any further research into it, they can find more possibly, but at least in that argument, they'll have something of a counterpoint, or there'll be some issues that require further uh, research in regards to that Kish and Kush connection.
Right.
And that's it.
You think they try to make them to the same people to make the story real, or what do you think that the reason why they say that they're the same?
Well, like I said, some people that I spoke with, they made that connection based on the name itself. Okay, so Kish, Kush, and some people may try to make some type of cognate connection to that, and that's just not the case. And in particularly, what we went over as far as the definition, where we have a specific word, Kish,
Right.
and we have a specific word, Kush, too.
Right.
There's even a third, but that's going. I didn't want to put it as overkill in this thing.
Right.
But if you wanted to say Kush and the people of Kush, then there's a specific definition and word for that.
Right.
So you can't take Kish and say that it means Kush when we got a word Kush.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, and I shared this with a couple of Assyriologists, and to my surprise, they didn't even know about this. And it just happened to come. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Smash Rockwell in one of his shows inspired me to even go into that, because he utilizes a lot of what's in the Egyptian metanetter, the TLA. And so in Sumerian or Mesopotamian grammar and studies, they have several equivalences to the TLA. You got the EPSD, Electronic Pennsylvania Sumerian Dictionary 1 and 2. You have the ORAC. You have the CDLI. You can take a word, go to it, get the chronology of it when it was first used, based on what we have as far as discovered text. And then you can trace it to the text. And then you go over to the OREC or the CDLI, and you can find the word in the text. You'll find the tablet, the line, and the context of what's being presented there. So you can't just take a word and then run with it. You have to have context. How was it used? How was it applied?
Well, man, that's very rich.
As a matter of fact, while we're doing this, if I can, I'm gonna
yeah.
Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't even know if I have it. Hold on, I can see if I can pull it up. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Give me a second. I think I done lost. Where are you?
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Okay, there it is. All right. Boom. So like the TLA that he has, or what they use in the studying of Egyptian language. This is basically the same thing. So like when I was mentioning, let me find it. I can't even find it. I should have used the other one, but there's two versions of this. You have the EPSD1, which most people are familiar with. It's like a yellow page. And this is the most up to date because they update it pretty much weekly. Because since the Tigris, Euphrates had the water levels had went down, a lot of texts were discovered as well. So there are literally hundreds of new texts that's going to be presented or brought in. Let me give you an example, like this word here. So you hit it, so you have water. So the word okay, you have and then you'll get a list of its attestations, early dynastic A. Then you go to the first place that is found in Shurapa, 13 mentions of it. And then you can click on and you'll be able to go and see the transliteration of it, or you can go to the CDLI and actually pull it up. See? And you can get over here, you have the entire history of it, where it was discovered, what type of tablet, what particular language it's in, because people who use cuneiform weren't necessarily Sumerian speakers, as we know with the Akkadians, who translated it, and on and on and on. Yeah. So I just wanted to make that point.
That's crazy. Where do you find out how? Yeah, that's crazy, man. A lot of I know you as well. A lot of Nuwapians and a lot of ancient Hebrews going to be like, no, man, but you got the facts there. I love it, man.
I mean, I'm not. Look, I did all my debating in the 90s. I used to debate every night, hours on talk radio. That was my thing. But I respect everyone's points of view or what they believe or what their convictions are. I'm just putting this out there. So anyone that wants to check it, recheck it, research it, by all means. This is what I came up with in my extensive research on the topic. And it's not intended to attack anyone, undermine or belittle anyone. It's just here's another area that's worth consideration based on the topic and the subject matter.
Man, this is great research, man. This is great research.
Word.
Can we find any temples that were in the scriptures, like any like Kish, other than I know Saul's father, because I looked it up, I knew he was coming on. So I had to find, where Kish was mentioned at, and I know it came out as Saul's father or anything like that. So are there any temples and stuff that you can find up in there?
As far as what?
As far as the temples of because they had temples back then, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, back in those things. I was just trying to relate it to
I would think you would probably have to be specific on what temple, where it was located, and how it's mentioned in biblical text.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Now I was trying to figure out if you could help us and find if there was any temples that relate to that, because I know that you know the scriptures and how you
that
going
relate
into it.
that relate to Kish.
Yeah,
Because Kish was a series of mounds. Um, that was those places of worship and adoration of deities that was localized in that region.
mm,
How biblical scribes took it down later on, I'm not too sure how. And
right,
if it's a specific text
right,
speaking about a mound or say for instance a ziggurat, um, I would need to know what passage it is, and then do the checking and I try to track it down to its origins, and then see how they were trying to make their point in regards to what that location is significance to them.
right.
You
Oh,
know,
because you did. I mean, you got my mind digging now. Since you are coming up with that research, I love the research that you did. So you got
yeah,
my mind digging. I'm trying to figure out more stuff as you go on. But that's yeah, I'm
yeah,
trying. That's great research you did, and it's imperative that we as the people. This is a good avenue. Let me talk to to the craft room. This is a good avenue that
yeah.
the great Chuck Morgan has opened up. And man, this research is groundbreaking and informative for us to know that there's a difference in the people of Kish and Kush for people that
From
try
what
to, from what you
from
say.
my discovery, yeah, that was a pretty isolated area. Matter of fact, some believe it or not, some uh, Assyriologists have even questioned whether or not Kish was actually a Sumerian city and
Right,
not a province of Akkad,
right,
because we know that um, at some point the people of Akkad had interacted because of that being in that region in the northern areas, the land of Akkad. They shared a number of um, cultural expressions with the people of Sumer.
right.
And of course, by the time Sharukin, is a funny name,
Yeah.
um, Sargon had started his campaign to take over the region and make all of it into an empire, um, and still maintain the Sumerian language, just using it in Akkadian. Um, some people have questioned whether or not it was just a part of that society before it was recognized as a part of Sumer. So um, it's still out there. So I can't definitively say, but what we do know is that it would not be Kushites uh, settling that region, because one of the gifts that we find in Mesopotamia, specifically with one of the city states from Lagash, Uruk, Eridu, Orm, um, Mari, iconography was very important to them. And it will be just like us today taking pictures, selfies, etc. You
Right.
know, and that documentation, because it's in stone, some fabulous artwork that
Mm,
rivaled even ancient Egyptian artists and craftsmen. Um, that was their documentation, and they were very, very vivid in their artwork. So
mm,
it leaves very little room and very little ambiguity on who these people were and how they classified themselves.
mhm.
You know, and for the record, I think it's because some people have taken this whole Sumerian thing out of context. Is people think that they just it's like millions and millions of years ago, the Anunnaki came, dropped them off, and on how the story goes. And
Let's
that
go.
you
The
gotta you
real
gotta
story.
you gotta realize, understand
Yeah.
that you know that region of the marsh was already occupied by other people.
Mm.
you know. And so the Kiingi language of Sumer and the Sagigi or Sangiga, they somehow at some point occupied that region, either absorbed the previous society, Ubaid or Namdjeset, and elevated their system to a new system. It's like, say, you have what they call proto cuneiform or pictograph that eventually culminated into wedge writing based on the abundance of having to write and do it at a more rapid pace. Instead of having pictorials, they decided to use wedges because every word in Sumerian, every word it's a single syllable. So you can have a single syllable for everything, and it'd be much quicker and easier. And that's why they utilize as evolving from pictograph, as we call it, to this wedge shape, which we call cuneiform in the Latin.
Okay. Could you give us the audience a little insight on the Gutians?
Okay. Wow. The Gutians were a wild group of people from, according to the Sumerians in their literature. They were an uncivil. I have it somewhere because I was keeping my notes on it.
Right.
They were a wild group of people. Let me see if I can pull it up. That lived in the Zagros Mountains, and they were known for raiding and attacking trade routes. And not just them, as a matter of fact, they even described them as being savage beasts, not having any type of, they didn't even have a language structure. They said that they looked like monkeys, spoke like dogs. Yeah, they didn't bury their dead, ate raw flesh. You know, a lot of, just like some of the descriptions of the Amorites in the books of the Bible. Because I think there was one passage, I think in the book of Ezekiel, where it mentions that they when they're born, their umbilical cord is not cut, something to that effect. It just reminded me of that because also in the latter part of Sumerian history, the last ruler of Sumer, Ibisen, they were being invaded by the Amartu, and the Amartu are what we know today as Amorites. And they have, if you listen, the Sumerians even wrote about their destruction and how it happened, where they went, and so, well, not where they went, but the sorrow that they beheld because of a number of ecological issues that helped bring the downfall of Mesopotamia. So when you see all these ruins and it's just like a dust bowl and buildings crumbling, it didn't look that initially, but because of that location, the soot, the drought. Matter of fact, I did a let me see if I can find it. I did a some research on that, and I came away with some interesting facts on that. I'm gonna see if I think I hold on. Give me just give me a second. Let me add a filler in there. Yeah. They suffered serious drought that aided in the fall of Sumer. Let me read this. Okay. So let me just give you a quick one. During the reign of King Sharkarari, the world's climate underwent a serious and sudden shift. The change is known only by the cryptic name, the 4.2 kiloyear event. Starting around 2200 BC, it probably lasted the entire 22nd century BC. It has been hypothesized to have caused the collapse of the Old Kingdom in Egypt, as well as the Akkadian Empire in Mesopotamia. the Liangzhu culture in lower Yangtze River. The drought may have initiated the collapse of the Indus Valley civilization, with some of its population moving southward to follow the movement of their desired habitat, as well as the migration of the Indo-European speaking peoples into India. It has been tentatively linked to the changes that took place in the sea ice of the North Atlantic, causing ripples throughout the world's delicate interlocked climate system. Um, but whatever the cause is, its effects were serious and dramatic, and the onset of what's called the arid let me try it again, aridification in Mesopotamia is about 4100 BP, also coinciding with the cooling event of the North Atlantic known as the Bond Event 3. Aridification is the process of a region becoming increasingly arid or dry. It refers to long-term change. Rather than a seasonal variation, it is often measured as the reduction of average soil moisture content. It can cause the reduction of precipitation, increased evaporation, lowering water tables, and changing the ground cover, acting individually or in combination. So its major consequences include reduction of agricultural production, soil denigration, ecological changes. Of course, with the water, it prevents rain or runoff from water, because in the various places in Mesopotamia, they had, with their production of food, they utilized the waters of the marsh, but they had the rains that would wash a lot of the soot and salt away. But as this period started coming in, you know, it pretty much um, it just stopped, because it lasted for centuries. So the Gutians had raided and plundered along the borders of the Akkadian Empire for years, burning and stealing cattle. So in the text called "The Curse of Akkad," they give a lament of the fall of the Akkadian Empire. Okay, and it was due to the Gutians who came down, and instead of just raiding and causing chaos, they decided to just take it for themselves, and they went to war with the Akkadians. And let me see, who was the king at that time? Yeah, King Shari. Uh, um, yeah, he was the Akkadian ruler, and in addition to the climate being at such a low state, then you had people starving, water was at a loss, and then these people had to go to war, and they lost, and it was the Gutians that took over and took over Mesopotamia, all along the north, the mid areas, and one of the areas that they didn't have much of a control over it. And because they, in those texts, even in the Sumerian king list, it talks about that takeover, and it got so chaotic they didn't even have rulers, so they would just let they. Matter of fact, let me see what it says. Hold up, it's okay. So this okay. So in the curse of Akkad, Enlil it says that Enlil is angry at the king of Akkad for disrespecting the gods, and he summoned the Guti to punish the people. And the hill people, the Guti, were imagined as monsters, half animal, with the language that sounded to the Sumerians like barking dogs. So I pulled this from the electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature. I'm going to try to read it real fast. Enlil brought out the mountains, those who did not resemble other people. They are not reckoned as part of the land. The Guti, an unbridled people with human intelligence, but canine and monkey features.
Damn.
Like small birds, they swooped on the ground in great flocks. Because of Enlil, they stretched their arms arms out across the plain like a net of animals. Nothing escaped their clutches. Not one left their grasp. Messengers no longer traveled the highways. Couriers' boats no longer passed along the rivers. The Guti drove the trusty goats of Enlil out of the folds and compelled their herdsmen to follow them. They drove the cows out of their pens and compelled the cows to follow them. The prisoners manned the watch. Brigades attacked the highways. The doors of the city gates of the land lay dislodged, covered
Yeah.
with mud, and the foreign lands utterly bitter cries from the walls of the cities. They established gardens for themselves within the cities, and not as usual on the wide plain outside, as if they had been there, as if they had been before the time when the cities were built and founded. The large fields yielded no grain. The inundated fields of the tract yielded no fish. The irrigated orchards yielded no syrup or wine. The thick clouds did not rain. On the mashgurum, plants did not grow, and on and on and on. So this takeover by the Guti, and this is coming from the Curse of Akkad. You can find it in, you can just Google it, you can find it. But the extensive version you can find at the Electronic Text Corpus of Sumerian Literature. During that famine in that dry period was during the time, I guess the Guti rulers, they figured that would be the best time because they didn't have a functioning society. They were just a band of wild savages that was just going around raiding places and taking it back and feeding themselves. And that's why various Sumerian text talks about they just let the animals run wild. They had no infrastructure, which led to other groups coming in, which also led to other Sumerian cities separating themselves and becoming more independent. You see, and one particular city state, Lagash, in the south, they were so far down south in Lagash that they were really affected by it. And it wasn't until I think it was Ornamu, no, Utu Hegal and his armies during this period, who eventually drove during about 100 years, because they were there about 100 years, 140 years. And it was under the rule of Utu Hegal that his armies drove the Guti out and restored Sumerian rulership to the Sumerians for the first time since the takeover of Sargon of Akkad. And that brought in what was called the Sumerian Renaissance. Okay, because it was at that point that, of course, the Akkadians had already dispensed with the Sumerian language, tore down a number of altars, even going to the sacred temple of in Nibru, which was the sacred temple of Enlil. They started desecrating that. So by bringing this all back, they put a heavy emphasis on the literature, building of monuments, in particular ziggurats, as well as establishing schools where the Sumerian language would be brought back to its prominence. And this was passed on from succeeding generations, going from Utu Aigal to Ernamu to Ernam. I can't remember the list right now, but Ernamu, Gudea, and on and on and on. And that just was what came to be known as the third dynasty of Sumer. But in the text referred to as the Lament of Or, it talks about the downfall of Sumer, its final stages, who were the groups that pretty much destroyed it by military conquest under Ibi Sin, who was the last ruler of 2028. And it was the Elamites who had pretty much destroyed ancient Sumer. Of course, you still had, by the time the Babylonians come in, who was a mixture of all these people, because with all the famine that was going and the drought that was taking place, the Sumerians they migrated out of there. They literally had to leave and started going further north into the region of Akkad, what was left of it. And of course, all these different groups, because of that region being dry and pretty much barren, they started eventually interbreeding or intermixing with each other. And all of this is illustrated in the text called the Limit of Or. We're like real fast. Um, the wars of this period turned Sumerian cities into blackened heaps of burnt brick and a wasteland. And this took place during the drought that continued, and the salt-ridden fields no longer produced enough barley. Faced with these issues, the remaining population of Sumerian people began to migrate out of the large areas, becoming refugees. And over the centuries, the vast populations moved south and the north to the north. And some of these Sumerian speakers began to settle in Akkadian lands, leaving their cultural identity behind. And, that is pretty much how it all came about. So a lot of the wasteland and the way you may see parts of Mesopotamia today is as a result of that extended drought that left everything in shambles. So in the Lamed of Or, it says, the Lord of all the lands has abandoned it and has let the breezes haunt his sheepfold. Enlil has abandoned the shrine Nibru and has let the breezes haunt his sheepfold. His wife Ninlil has abandoned it and has let the breezes haunt her sheepfold. Ninlil has abandoned the house in Kior and has let the breezes haunt her sheepfold. The queen of Kish has abandoned it and has let the breezes haunt it sheepfold. Same thing. Ninma has abandoned Kish and has set the breezes, and on and on and on. So if you go through that text, the limit of Or is pretty long. It's about 400 400 something lines, and it gives you a vivid picture of what happened to Or, Kish, Amari, and all the other Sumerian city states as a result of the drought, the Amartu or Amorites that came in, and the Alamites, along with the Gutians, because the Gutians were pushed back into the Zagros Mountains. But of course, they eventually will come down periodically and raid and cause havoc. And it was just too much for the armies to handle because they just didn't have anything because of the drought. Am I going too much with this? Yeah.
No, this is good. Priest, I think you're on mute.
Who, me?
No, Priest is.
Oh, you gotta get. I say, oh man, you gotta give him a bomb AD going in.
Yeah.
It's safe to say that the Gutians were the first bike gang, right? It's like a wild bike gang.
They were a band. They were like a Genghis Khan.
There you go.
They were wild. I mean, I'm just saying it based on from stuff that I was reading, multiple texts, because I'm just trying to get a background on the Gutians. And like I said, even in the Sumerian king list, when it talks about the different rulers from Guti, and it talks about after that who was king. Anyway, it was just chaos. And they literally say who was king. They had three kings. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm gonna let it go. But the point I was making is that they were just it would just become almost sarcastic that it was just complete chaos and disorder. There was no order in the game. So it wasn't again until Utu Hagal, who had brought about some unity in this thing for a short time. But nevertheless, it was that Renaissance that brought Sumer back to its prominence. And of course, this is where you get all of the rise of documents and texts, from this text to that text. It was during the third dynasty of Ur that you had most of the Sumerian literature that we find today, where they were literally tens of thousands of clay tablets, cones, cylinder seals, etc.
Right. So do you know what language that they speak, the Gutians?
No. Matter of fact, that's something that Assyriologists are still trying to figure out
Right.
because they didn't have a language system because again,
Right.
um,
Wow.
that organized and structured society that the Sumerians had,
Mm-hmm.
that even Shahrukh loved so much that
Mm-hmm.
he preserved their language in the form of schools, eduba. They had children that were raised to be scribes and took
Mm-hmm.
at a minimum 20 years. And so you had, when in these schools, you had to learn Sumerian and Akkadian
Mm-hmm.
because the same way we would use, say, I'll give you an example. We use the Latin script to write English, right?
Right.
So someone in German, when they write it out, they would utilize the same Latin.
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, same thing. So in the wedge shape writing cuneiform, they use that in the Akkadian language,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they
Gotcha.
made Akkadian the official language of Mesopotamia under Shahrukh Sargon.
Wow. See, I fixed my hat to look like your boy behind you.
Hey, hey, let me. No. You just opened something up. I got to do this. I got to do this. Hold on. Give me a second. No, the reason is because I did a presentation 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull this up. Give me a second. I'm gonna share my screen, but it's coming up now. Hold on. Um, an individual, that I got some flack for it because I guess they thought that I was attacking him, which I wasn't. I was just attacking um, a position that he had in regards to a hat that my
Mm.
man was wearing. That my man up
Right.
here, my
Yeah.
man Goody,
Yeah.
is wearing.
Goody.
I don't know what's taking so long for this to show up. Hold on. Give me a second. Because I'm gonna pull this PowerPoint up. Oh, there it is. Here it comes.
This
Give
is
me a
good.
second because it's loading up. Because this is like 100 something slides, so I'm waiting for it to pull up. It's coming. One moment. It's coming in.
Yeah.
But
You.
the reason it jarred my memory was because of the hat and the way that it's shaped,
Mm.
and it reminded me of something. Let me see if it. Oh, there it is. There it is. I'm waiting for the wording to come in. Okay, the hat of Gudea. It has been suggested that the wool hat dress worn by Gudea and others represented an afro.
Mm.
Hold on. Oh, this thing is taking
That's
so
good.
long. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, let me share this real quick. All right. All right. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. Let me know when it's shared, please.
Yep, it's shared.
Okay, great.
There you go.
All
Oh,
right,
that's
that's my man right
bro.
there. I don't know, my PowerPoint is still loading up because it's so much. Is it 110? But anyway, uh, there it is. Okay, so the hat of Gudea. All right,
Mm.
so this, according to an individual who put a book out on the Sumerians, Black Sumerians, whatever, and
Mm.
he's saying that this is supposed to be an afro.
We can get into it. Yeah.
One of the many statues of Gudea, he wears a headdress which some have made the ridiculous charge that it represented or imitated kinky hair. An afro, which I think is false. Although
Mm.
Sumerian, Akkadian, and Babylonian kings wore crowns, these crowns were not always alike. Gudea's
Mm.
crown was distinctive to Lagash. It has a straight, sided brim and stylized curls of lamb's wool. Mm. Unlike the crowns of Hammurabi and Ornama, which were smooth without the curls, like you see here. You have Hammurabi in his crown, and you have Ornamu of Lagash as well.
Priest has a song called "Ghost of Hammurabi."
Yeah.
Never heard that. Never heard that. I don't know why my PowerPoint is taking so long and it's frustrating me, but I just went into this thing, but yeah, that little point there, I just like, okay. So I kind of attacked, I ain't gonna say attacked it, but I just addressed it kind of, and I met with some opposition by some friends that did not take kindly to it, but nevertheless, I just saying where you had that your hat right there. Yeah, that joint made me say, "Oh, okay, that's where he got it." Yeah.
I see what you're saying, man. Yo, the work is always impeccable. Is always incredible. Every time we come through here, man, it's like
it's always ongoing.
Yeah, always ongoing. Knowledge is just like that, man. And
yeah, man.
We definitely honored to have your presence on here.
Please, no, I'm honored to be here.
Hey,
Chuck, what is your website and or Instagram or YouTube?
Oh, well, my website is pretty much separate from this, what I really get into here. The website is nuwapianism.com, which addresses, ironically, I guess you could say, some of the critiques that I have of the Nuwapian organization, and particularly some of their literature in various claims when it got into Mesopotamian talking points. Their leader made statements that were supposed to be factual, but when checking it, which is why I documented on the website, demonstrates a fallacy and more of a reliance on the teachings of Zechariah Stitchens' Earth Chronicles series. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like like the whole Nibiru thing and Anunnakiism, all that stuff.
And according to the text, oh man, it's gonna take us somewhere else. You know how I love you already. Oh man,
I mean, we can touch on it, It's all good.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Where we going?
It's a nice website.
Planet.
Oh yeah, so the website, nuwapianism.com. That's my website. Chuck Morgan, you have the YouTube channel, which are some of the live shows that I and some other individuals had done, debates, arguments, critiques of the organization, and it's just a library of information that critiques the Nuwabian organization. That's the website. What I do here in regards to Sumerian language studies and grammar, I meet with some fellas in different parts of the world. We meet on Zoom every week, and we go over Sumerian texts or Akkadian texts. I keep saying Akkadian texts. And depending on what we want to go with, we'll take a random cuneiform tablet and utilizing some of the work tools we have, we're going to go over that text, translate it or transliterate it, translate it, and then make it put forth. It's on YouTube. I forget the name right now.
It's the Brown Cherokee, right?
Yes, that's the one. And we put that out there, and it makes you sharp. Because my thing had always been to really get into it, the grammar, learn the language, and be able to go to a museum or go to a text corpus and look at a text and then transliterate it and then translate it. And this is one of the first ones that and like I said earlier, a lot of these texts during the time of Lagash, a lot of them had a tendency to be you get more familiar with their style of writing. And like the first line, because you see the Dingir, which is not pronounced, but you know that there's a deity, Nimin Tabar, Nin Ani Shulgi. These first three lines here, Shulgi is the ruler of Lagash at that time. And this too is another dedication and what's the other one called? Uh, I can't remember what the other one is, but these texts, and they're in the hundreds that are there, and he's just talking about his dedication. This particular temple is dedicating temple to the god, a particular goddess at this time that they acknowledge, which was Nimin Taba. So it's just like what the other one says, Nimin Taba, Nin Ani, which again is the third person singular possessive, because that is a female deity, and it is Shulgi, who's mentioned in the Sumerian king list, that he is dedicating this to his lady or his mistress, and it says Shulgi, um, Nita Kalaga.
You probably have to show us from your screen share because it's a little blurry.
I got it. I'm pointing to it.
I'm zoomed into it, but it's still kind of blurry.
I don't know if you can, but anyway, for the most part, you can pull it up. It's the tablet, Shulgi dedication to Nibin Taba. It says neat, because a lot of they say Nita Kalaga, mighty man, Lugal, Kiingi, Ki Ori, or in this case, Lugal, Orum Ki Ma, which is king of Or, Lugal Ki Ingi, which is the king of Sumer, and then you
Wow.
had and Akkad is Ki Ori. And of course, you had, like we had on the other text, you have Aani, which again goes to the third person singular possessive, to her, he built. And then you got Munadu, which is that verbal chain where he's talking about building a temple for Nibin Taba.
Wow. Dang, man. Read it and weep.
So from
the
last time we were on the show, I think that was 2 years ago. I mean, I'm happy that leaps and bounds in hooking up with people who, because they love what they do as a Assyriologist, and being online, you can have, like on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I have access to these people. I like a whole bunch of Assyriologists, archaeologists, linguists, etc. So I try to touch base with these people so I can get well rounded. And like I said, on Sunday I'm going to interview the authors of this publication. Dr. Joshua Bowen and Megan Lewis. The introduction for complete beginners. It is a very good book. I gotta tell you, it's a very good book. It's easy to read.
I have it.
You got it. It's an excellent book, and it's an excellent book, and it's easy to read. And there's a part two. There's a part two that you can look forward to coming out very soon. And we're going to do a short interview with them. I want to kind of bring, because because we all have, Medunetter, and that's beautiful how people are going through that. But I want to kind of bring in what Assyriology is, how it's structured, how things, just another area that we can bring to the awareness of the people.
That's right.
We should be familiar. Yeah. And I mean, it's and you would know, as someone who studies scripture, that Mesopotamian reference is throughout the old text of the Bible. So you can't it would be good to be familiar with that.
Kemet and Mesopotamia, Babylon is all through it. You can't go through that without knowing about those great kingdoms that were there, that were building.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, man. Real fast, can we do this?
What, the Riskians? We're gonna talk about the Riskians?
No, we're not gonna deal with that. Brother, let me tell you something. After doing this for how many years? Okay, it's been 20 years since the leader has been incarcerated, and even just this last couple of days, I got to now address individuals who were babies when all this stuff took place, and now they want to come out. I want to call Chuck Morgan out. You got to address these people. And I said, how long do I have to do this, or how long do we, other individuals who spent time going through this stuff, have to address something that was settled in 2004 by a jury? Why do we have to go to this? But sometimes little youngins try to want to take you there. You got to do some spanking. You know what I'm saying? But what I wanted to do was let me go back to let's see.
Priest, you got a super chat from Ahmed L. He says, "Peace, Priest, for $20."
Hey,
oh yeah, make that money.
yeah, man. If I got any questions, Chuck Morgan is here. If y'all want to know about, he knows it all. We talked about.
I don't know. No. Don't put that on me. I don't know
it all.
You know what you know. But what I've been able to study and research, I just wanted to go through this real quick.
Let's go.
Okay. Michael Heiser did he put a book out some years ago. Let me see if I can pull it up.
If you do the PowerPoint, go ahead and go full screen.
On the power. Oh yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, it's not. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, this isn't going to take long. It just. Oh, see, I wanted to kind of go through this real fast. This word Anunnaki. I think we did this the last time, but I kind of wrote it out, but it wasn't that clear. How do I get this doggone thing? Okay, there it is. All right, so here's in a nutshell is what it is. Just the word alone, Anuna, is the term, not Anu na. And you see that determinative there, key. This little symbol here, this that's key. So when people say like Zechariah Stitchin or Dr. York would say from Anu to key. Now I can laugh at it because that shows you they don't know what they're talking about. So the Sumerians had a word that was a collective in reference to a royal or priest-like seed or bloodline. So the n here is the consonant, and words that end in a consonant are usually duplicated, which is what you see here. A, nun, na. You see, it ends in a consonant, is then duplicated here. Okay? So, ah here, that's what we read earlier when we went to the EPSD, where you have ah, and this is the Sumerian word for water, as well as sperm, semen. Yeah, that's what this is representing. Now, the second cuneiform sign is nun. Nun is a Sumerian term or word for a prince or someone who's of royalty or deified, if you will. And we find this in several Sumerian texts, for example, Nun Gal, right here, the great prince, Nun Gal. You say the great prince, you'll find that, of course, in Enki in the World Order, line 335. Next, we have the cuneiform sign Na. In the Sumerian grammar, the ah marks the adjective which follows the noun they modify. Okay, this little cuneiform sign here, what you call K4, in the cuneiform sign often occurs at the end of a genitive compound which functions as the subject of a transitive verb of in the sentence. So this will be to be of. And so this dead, you see the Dingir sign here? The Dingir, I'm about to say glyph. The Dingir sign is talking about Anuna, the royalty, or later called Anunnaki by the Akkadians and the Babylonians. And will be defined as being of a priestly royal seed, which would explain the genitive marker here at the end. It's not ending in the sign Ki. So when people say Anunnaki, Ki means earth, from Anu to Ki, from God to the earth. No, because we can look at it in a text. Excuse me. We can look at it in a text, and you see that you do not see the cuneiform sign Ki. You'll find K4, but that's not Ki. And again, Ki is the determinative for a place, land, ground, earth. Another word for ground is kalam, and it's the ergative agent marker K4, which is strictly there for grammatical purposes. Okay. So Zechariah Sitchin taught that the determinative, which we know now as Dingir, that little eight-pointed looking star thing that the Sumerians used, and it evolved like by when the Akkadians used it, they just simplified it by putting it in Old Babylonian with just like a two strokes, like a cross. So Dingir, which is not pronounced when it's seen in a text, he taught that Dingir was a rocket ship. Oh yeah, yeah. He taught that it was a rocket ship. Dingir is also the sign for a deity, letting you know that the name to follow is of a divine name, as in the case of what you see here, Enlil or Enki, and so forth. So what Sitchin and York does is, what Sitchin and York, who followed him, they broke up the determinative and made it into a two-syllable word, din and gear. Something that is not seen, found on any Sumerian text anywhere, and nor is it taught in any grammar school. From Sumerians all the way to Neo-Assyrians, no one taught din and gear as being separate. And he attributed the word to mean din, righteous, pure, bright, and gear, sharp object, rocket. And this is what we call Sumerian pseudoism 101. So in Sumerian tradition, just as Akkadian knows of several designations for different groups of gods.
The rainbow moon?
Huh?
Come on, the rainbow moon, the rainbow sun, the sun that interchanges. The Bureau has how many suns? And they're different colors.
Oh, you talking about it? It's in the. I forgot. I forgot how. I'm gonna tell you something that I found too. I'm gonna type it out since I got the PowerPoint up. Okay, so this belongs to Dingir Aznan, gods of heaven, Dingir Kia, the gods of earth, Dingir An Kia, gods from heaven and earth, Dingir Kerkura, the gods of the foreign lands or mountains, Dingir Her Sagar, the gods of the mountains, Dingir Shashare, innumerable gods. Let me type something up real quick. Okay, so like when you were talking about Nibiru, right? Okay, so we say Nibiru, right? So that you're familiar with that, right? Of course.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what I found that Sitchin did. Even York, because he didn't know one way or the other. He was just using Sitchin's books to make money. So, okay, so you got Nibiru here. Now, in Akkadian, it is Neberu. And this was the word that they used for the planet Jupiter, or when something is crossing the skies, as when at night when you see the stars and the brightest star in the sky at that time of the year might have been a planet Jupiter, and they charted it as it traversed across the sky until the morning, which gave it the term it became it the crossing. Then later on, like Sitchin and them guys would say planet of the crossing, but it was just talking about that star that they saw, and they identified it with three dingirs, which was usually in reference to a celestial body. But what Sitchin did was he took the English. Here's what he did. In Sumerian, they don't have a word Nibiru or Neberu in Sumerian. The word that they used for um, the planet Jupiter was Sag May Gar. That was the word that was used for the planet Jupiter. Okay. And they, in their astrologers, and even in a text called, uh, what was it called? What is it called? Oh my God, I can't remember the name of it. Um, was it? I think it was Mu Apin.
New Apin.
Yeah, Mu Apin. Yeah, that, and
New
yeah, you'll find references to it there. But what he did was, he said that I can spell check. He did was he took this word Nibiru, like this spelling, right? Nibiru, right? And said it was planet of the crossing, and then or the craft that the Nephilim were on. But then he took a Sumerian, because he always said that Nibiru was a Sumerian word. It's like you're, piggybacking off of that. But in the most sacred of cities in Sumer at any time in Mesopotamian history was a place called Nibru. Now, in the English, or just say in the transliteration, you see Nibiru and Nibru. Nibru was a settlement name, right? So this settlement name was where the Sumerian aristocracy would have their sacred ceremonies and adoration for the god in Lil. Okay, so that was his sacred domain. They didn't even have kings over this period. It was just a place that people would come and pay homage to Enlil in that sacred chamber. So he took Nibru and transfer added an extra I and called it Nibiru, which is why when you go to look for Nibiru, you go to look for Nibiru in a Sumerian text, you won't find it because there is no word Nibiru in Sumerian. That is an Akkadian word, and it's an Akkadian word, and it's Neberu over here. It's Neberu. And this was what they used. This is what they identified, because you have the five planets that they were aware of in Mesopotamia, and particularly the various texts, the astronomical texts. They only mention those five planets. Of course, constellations and all that stuff, but they focus on just those five because that's all they could see with the naked eye, or what they could make out as far as these little bright dots at various points of the year. So that level of deception is one of the things that Sitchin is known for. And unfortunately, Malachi York taught a lot of people that Nibiru was this and that, and he was totally wrong because he was piggybacking off of Zechariah Sitchin. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Woo.
Damn.
Yeah. Did you just say that? Did you say that? Wow, this is some heavy stuff, heavy information, man, heavy information. But it's good that we get to.
I mean, we can probably do this another time. I mean, I'm not going to try to go overboard with this stuff,
I know you feeling it. I know you feeling it right now.
I mean, because look, it's like this, the crew I roll with on Saturdays, we bill for hours, going over text, because because some of them, I think one of them teaches Meta Netzer. He's out of, I think, out of Egypt. Then another guy's over in Germany, and you got a bunch of different people in different parts of Europe, and we all collectively, come together because we had this, affinity for Sumerian or Mesopotamian literature, the grammar. One is putting out a book, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't get a chance to build with, the family here.
Right. Right.
And like I said, I don't want to teach it personally because it would take too long. I don't even have about 20 more years,
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'm just messing. But I just want to just put it out there, you know, in ways that it hasn't been done before. You've never had a black man, quote unquote, um, to be able to articulate Sumerian literature by doing a quick translation, you know. That's something, that I like the idea of, because, you know, it's a dead language.
Right.
And looking through the lens of Akkadian, we're able to take it, and then with the discoveries of various texts and like the Rosetta Stone, you had I think it's Akkadian, Persian, and Elam, which certain Orientalists were able to use as the starting point on trying to decipher this bizarre unknown language. So, like with the Akkadians referring to the people of Sumer, um, uh, we call it Shumeru. It was Jules Obert in, I think, 1889 who actually coined the name Sumerian. It was an Assyriologist named Jules Obert. So when people say Sumerian, you can thank him because he was the one
Right.
who put it in the official record as being the name of these people and their language, which was unknown at the time.
And they called themselves?
They refer to themselves as Sangiga.
There you go.
So people say blackheads, and they take that and run with it and say they were black people because They said they refer to them as black people because see they call themselves the blackheads. I said, well, okay, well, what color was their body?
Yeah, right.
Because
so many avenues to it.
I gotta do it. See, I got so many PowerPoints that I have never put out that I use just in case somebody gets out of line and starts trying to, become sarcastic and stuff. So
that craft room will light up, We welcome everyone to come in the craft room. Have to leave it.
So you stay armed and ready.
Oh, of course.
This is all part of your arsenal.
I mean, I will say this. In spite of York's massive shortcomings, one thing I did take and I still internalize is the ability to always be prepared and have the tools handy. But just as a point, let me give you something real quick. I can take this thing down. Okay, so this
is before Phil Valentine's. They were rolling back then, but Dr. York was talking about this back then, right? But
yeah. Well, no, actually, he, because I remember seeing Phil Valentine back in D.C. a few times. He would be lecturing outside of Steve Coakley's lecture or something, and around 1992 or three, York started 1992, September of 1992, he started teaching about Nibiru and Anunnakiism and stuff, which was coming from Zechariah Sitchin. So that started around 2000, late 2002, 2000. I'm sorry, 1992. Okay, so where am I going? Okay, so the purpose of this PowerPoint is simple: to bring some clarity, context, and chronology to the use of the term Sangiga. That's literally how it is pronounced, according to Assyriologists and Sumerologists, language specialists, better known as the black-headed people. This name, blackheads, is currently used as an implication and or as evidence that the ancient Sumerians referred to themselves as black people. How do you get there? It is okay. Some have even speculated that the word Sangiga, blackhead, was in reference to hair on the head, an old misleading conclusion, and it's misleading because the word for, of course, hair is sikaba, and you see it right here. All right, but the point I was making is, okay, so here we got black-headed seagull. This photo is what's called a black-headed seagull. What stands out here is the obvious. It's the color of its head or neck. which is black or dark gray. We can clearly recognize and differentiate the color, the crown of his head and the nap. So just hold that thought. And then we have is the brown-headed cowbird. And with the previous example, the name places and focuses on the obvious, which is the brown head. And I use these two examples to demonstrate how the names of various animal species, in this case with birds, their names identify an outstanding feature in the color of their heads. Likewise, you had American actress Lucille Ball. She was known as the zany redhead. Okay. Now, she's clearly not a red-bodied person, which is this Auburn, but each of these three adjectives, they describe the color of their hair. So unfortunately, the Sumerians do not simply give us or supply us with an answer. Nevertheless, claiming that they were black people due to the adjective blackheads would be fallacious. And then we go into my question. My question is, if the head of these people are black-headed or black-headed people, then what color were their bodies? And how do you, if they were African people, how come we don't have illustrations of these black people with the classical monobrow that is so sacred amongst the Sumerians? But that's another story. So anyway, this article that I put up,
Native American.
we could probably deal with it at another time, but it gets into the roots, like in the Akkadian text of the Code of Hammurabi. They talk about how, when it's translated, how Salmat Kikadi, which is blackhead, it was the reference is used in the context is talking about humanity, and this being preserved. The in Akkadian is a term used in referring to a native Mesopotamian, and the Sumerian equivalent of that, of course, is Sangig. And the cuneiform sign there, you see the is pronounced as in sing, Sangiga. Okay. And of course, you can see this, of course, with the digital corpus of Sumerian or digital corpus of cuneiform lexical text, where the point I was making in this text was that there you have to have a chronology on when this word came about, because I've heard some people say that the images that you see in Sumer, such as the Standard of Ore, where you see all these white-looking people, or what some people interpreted that to be, is these are talking about the Guti, and it's not. And that's the point, because we can go all the way back to um, Dynasty. We can go all the way back to Dynasty 1, and we'll find these images coming from the Ubaid period on into what we know as the Sumerian up until the third dynasty. And even, I'm not going to go through the whole PowerPoint, but I consulted linguists and people who specialize in, and they have even in the Chinese language, they even have a reference to blackheads, and the same very similar context of how the word is used. Because this is a correspondence with him through email, where he shows and gives me some information on how it's used in the whole context of it. But that's a whole other story. And of course, I went on and spoke with this individual here, Jay Cristosomo, at the University of Michigan's Middle East Studies Department. He was talking about reading the Sumerian language, and I asked the question. Sangiga, many in the past have translated it as literally blackhead, but today many translations have it as humanity, which is true. So he says, so literally it is black-headed, but the understanding is that it refers to the people of the land, the citizens of the land, particularly the Mesopotamians, whatever that looks like. So the people over whom the gods have care, which for them would have been that smaller group of in Mesopotamia, the Babylonians, Assyrians, or whoever it is. But in theory, encompasses all of humanity, which is their world there. So that's why. So that's why. Yes, both translations are accurate, but if you want to be more specific, it's usually the people under the god's care, specifically Mesopotamians, the Kalam, on the land itself. So, I go into it even deeper by going into various texts. And like I give you an example here. Where is it? Okay, the top of the page is giving you a reference where you can go to the Pennsylvania Sumerian Dictionary, EPSD2, where you can get more information on it. So for Sangiga, we can see that its earliest attestation as Sangig 2 is in 1, a text from the Ur 3 period, also called the Neo-Sumerian Empire, a 22nd to 21st century BC middle chronology. And there's 45 texts which appears during the Old Babylonian periods, 1 in the Middle Assyrian period, 3 in the Middle Babylonian, 5 in the Neo-Assyrian, and 1 in the Neo-Babylonian. The point I'm making here is that the earliest attestation goes back to Ur 3, and that was during what we call Renaissance. You don't find Sangiga going back to the early dynasties or the early periods of ancient Sumer in their literature, in their textual, in the text corpus of Sumerian literature. You don't find it. But I'm not going to go any further with that. But I just wanted to point that out. I know this is my nerd moment.
Hey man, it's good info.
I mean, I could be. See, I'm fly today. Got my Gucci thing going on.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, my nerd is slipping out.
Got you. I'm slipping out my nerd all the time.
Mm-hmm. Where did Chief go? I mean, damn Chief. Where did the priest go?
Chief Priest is returning soon.
Priest. Okay, yeah. But yeah, that's this is just my contribution to the argument.
I'm here, my brother. I'm here.
I'm not trying to battle. I'm not trying to do any of that stuff. That's I'm done with. I ain't gonna say I'm done with it, but I just rather share what I've come across. And of course, if anyone comes across something that supersedes it, I'll be humble and succumb to it. I go where the facts are.
Yeah. No, Priest, you're still there. We see you.
I'm still there.
So I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to push this or I got a monopoly on it. None of that stuff. I'm just saying from the research that I put in, the due diligence. This is what I came up with. And I'm always open to, because I want to get down to the bottom of it just as much as anybody else. So anybody that may disagree with it, that's cool, And I'm always happy to share. We can share information. We can dialogue, because that's what people do when they have arguments, not as in confrontational arguments or something that's based on malice, but it's more like, okay, did you know this? Did you know that? Here's some documentation that you may not be aware of. Did you check this text? Did you know in the chronology of this and in the context of that how we arrived at this conclusion?
Yeah.
Man, again, that was great information, man.
It's in the record now.
And we didn't go. Next time we'll have someone on Planet Risk, and we'll talk.
Oh yeah, listen. Like we talked a couple of weeks ago, man. We're going to do another show on the cult, because they're active again. Because every time we stop talking about them, they feel that it's okay to come out, just like roaches. You turn the light off, here they come. So the light getting ready to go back on.
Right.
Vinny Blacklod says, "Thank you for bringing knowledge."
I appreciate you, brother.
That was a lot.
Thank you.
So we're gonna let you off the rocket. It was a great show, and we're gonna have you here again. If you want to stick around, we do the music around this time too. So if you want to stick around and listen to the music, I think AD can set it up. But if not, we can let you off. You can just watch it. It's up to you, my brother. It was great.
Yeah, we can watch it. Yeah, I mean, I love your music. Yeah, hey, but hold up. Yeah, you ain't do the T thing.
Okay, I got some. Yo, for all y'all at home and everything, that's right. He hit it. What you drinking?
Arizona.
All right, Arizona iced tea. Word, that's crazy. That's good. Word. All right, AZ iced tea. I feel you. I feel you. All right, I'm having a light. This is like a sake. Yeah, I'm having a sake. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can get drunk of it.
Hey man, it's usually a little tea. I have a little shot. I have a little bit right here. It blurred. No, it's blurred out. Huh?
Everything blur it out.
Yeah, but I got my tea right here. And my water.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I'm kind of on the road, so I got a whisk. I got my whisk. I got my Definitely get your matcha tea and whisk that up. What you drinking, AD? Coffee? I have my
coffee. I got that coffee.
All right, for all y'all home,
bulletproof,
the great, legendary Chuck Morgan, and let's do a toast. Play some music. Yeah.
Salute.
Hey.
Salute. Yeah, exactly. That was good, man. That was good. Word,
yeah, man. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it.
For
man.
sure. We got a couple super chats. One from Brooklyn Baby, $1.99. Brooklyn Baby.
Down there.
And another one from Brooklyn Baby again. It's a fox.
Okay.
She put a $5.
Hey,
fox.
I appreciate everybody just taking the time to listen as I rant. I'm an old man now, so I was just my rant.
Man, you looking good, man. How's it out there in Hawaii, man?
And man, I'm loving it. You know that. That's why I'm still here.
Yeah, I gotta come. You know, that's the only place I've never been, man. Never been to Hawaii.
Hey, come on out.
Yeah, they tell me
we
about
can hang
Hawaii.
out.
Yeah,
man. I'm on Maui.
Huh?
I'm on Maui, the island of Maui.
Nice.
Beautiful. There any activated volcanoes out there? We can. Hey, hey.
Yeah.
Hello, you and yours. Word. I want to take those get inside the volcanoes with the ash and the
chocolate. No, that's on the Big Island. That's an island way down. Ain't got nothing to do with that.
I got some Hawaiian friends. They said that the island of Oahu is haunted.
If you believe that, I've only been there once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
maybe,
I'm stuck on this rock.
Oh, okay.
Maybe AD was ex-Nawapian or just coming into the Nawapu.
Nah.
AD studying the lessons, though. That's good, man. At least he's getting in there, the principles.
I'm a student. Always a student.
Yeah, same here. Just a student. I'm always learning.
Hey, we have master student coming through. He's going to be in the studio with us. He's coming in February. So shout out to that. To the master student.
Nice.
Yeah. So, let's take it. AD, you know my favorite part. And let's continue sipping on some tea, man.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to switch this to the mode where you guys can see on your end and you'll be able to hear on your end. So I'm going to share screen. And boom, there we go. Got it set up today. Let's go. It's time for a segment we call Song Promotions.
Song Promotions.
Yeah. And before we get to that, we got Cap Jones. He said, shout out to AD on that bulletproof coffee. Yeah. Thanks, man. It doesn't have any butter in it, but the brand.
Bulletproof.
Yeah, because there's bulletproof coffee and then there's the bulletproof brand coffee. I have the brand, which is the K cup. Yeah, the actual bulletproof coffee is where you put butter in your coffee. I'm not doing that. That's kind of like a keto thing. I'm not doing any keto thing, but I'm using the brand bulletproof in the K cup. You know what I'm saying? I got the K cup maker and everything. The Keegan. Every day with that, I'm using a style called the Mentalist. So this is the Mentalist bulletproof coffee. Pretty good. No connection.
Some broccoli that was off the hook.
You had broccoli?
Yeah, I just had some broccoli, man. That was
nice. Man, me too.
Change your life. Oh, you had broccoli too?
Yeah, I just had beef and broccoli right here.
Hey, Beef and, shout out to all the beef and broccolis out there.
Yo, beef and broccoli, that's where it's at.
I might give me some beef and broccoli tonight.
Man.
Hey, fish and broccoli.
Oh, yeah, you got the whitefish?
Cod.
Oh, nice.
Oh, my cod.
Cod's good. That's a low-fat protein right there.
Exactly.
All right, so first one we're going to do is from Cap Jones. He's from The Present Moment. The name of the song is called Rat Race.
Shout out to Voltage. Oh, Vinny Black Lodge. Shout out to man, shout out to Vinny Black Lodge in the building. Said he's been drinking that actually a bit lately. Don't know what was that. Indulging into bulletproof wallet? No, bulletproof tea. I mean, bulletproof
coffee.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, let me see. Let me get set up here. Main screen caps. Okay, I got some adjustments to make, but we're gonna go right into it. Here we go. Cap Jones music. It's called Rat Race.
Life in the rat race, I don't sleep, I find victory in defeat. I stand ground on every single challenge I meet in case I finally do fall out like 6 feet. Hindsight can never get your mind right. Just look ahead and make your moves when the time's right. Ego puts us all in that competitive limelight, but don't rush. Hold your fire, fly by night. Look for moving pictures, signals, permanent waves. The better days you think you had were really just a phase, and the truth will set you free. What a luxury to know that the luxuries in life can't comfort me as much as knowing who I am and what's in front of me. Sure, I miss the past and thank God that the memories last, but life is built on such a rigorous pace, and I found that gratitude can make your attitude about face. Feel the bountiful truth. You can't appreciate the fruit if you don't understand the roots. And a chipped tooth can't ruin my smile, cause the picturesque points in life are worthwhile, with glory and beauty all around, if we just take the time to slow down. But we spend our days counting likes and snapping pics so that everybody knows that we exist. But does it validate or does it dismiss that moment you were in that you really missed? Your baby's first steps captured on a disc, ready for the world, archived on a list, only ever seen through the hue of a screen. Now is that living a life or is that watching a stream? Oh well, time will tell where your efforts are placed, but don't mistake the real world for the rat race. God bless.
All right. Nice. That's a good track right there, man. Rat Race.
Yeah.
Cap Jones music. He's got some quality going on in there. Good mix.
Mm-hmm. Crisp.
Yeah. I didn't know that hook was going to go there, so it almost gave me a Linkin Park vibe. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I can almost hear an electric guitar in the background subtly. Nothing hard, too crazy that it, it overwhelms what you already have. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking so much Linkin Park. I feel like a little bit of distortion in the back would be kind of cool to that track. But that was cool. That was cool. Y'all can check that out. Cap Jones music. It's called Rat Race. What you guys think?
Yeah, I think I like it. It was cool. It was very heartfelt. And I want he should keep going, man. Keep going. I'm ready to hear something else from him.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna get ready to make a move. It's about 5:15 here, and I'm hungry.
Hey, I know what that's like.
I worked all night, so I haven't even been to sleep yet.
Oh man,
thank you for coming, man. We are all on it, and we want to let you off the craft with a big bang.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm not in the studio, but I'll be in there next time to have my bomb going on. And thank you for coming through.
Hey, listen, I want to thank you because, man, you know, this is my out. You just gave me a get it out of my system outlet, and I really appreciate it. Man, I love your show. I don't get a chance to catch it all the time, but I catch it not live. I catch it when it goes on, and if I'm at work, I can listen to it all night. Watch y'all go for
it. Thanks you, man. Thanks. Man, we enjoy it. We enjoy doing it.
Interview you did. I was like, what?
Huh?
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to build with him.
Which way?
David Icke.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's kind of that'll be great. That'll be great. We could probably set up, but they banned him now, so he's banned in all 52 states.
We could probably if we do that, it'll be live on Rumble.
Yeah, no, okay. Dave he's on the run eating. Shout out to Dave Icke, man. He knows we love him out there, man. Just keep back.
Yeah, I had some questions I wanted to ask, but that's another story.
For sure. Nice.
Okay, man. Let me roll. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna do this again, all right?
Knowledge reigns supreme. Yeah, definitely soon. We're gonna talk after this.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Chuck.
That'll work. Thank you, brother. Enjoy.
Thank you.
All right.
And for y'all at home, y'all can follow Chuck on YouTube, and his website is in the description. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. Peace, Priest. What's good?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I love the podcast. Everything that's happening. There's been a lot of things going on, and I'm in the knowing. I'm just, I'm not in the knowing, but I'm still coming to full fruition of what's going on. It's about elevation at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. I'm here, bro. I'm just here, man.
Nice.
Shout out, make some moves and get up. That's all.
It's gonna be a good year.
Indeed.
All right, let's keep it moving. Coming up next, we got DJ Aurora Borealis from the holy city of New York.
Hey.
This track is called Lord Jamar, Young Gods, produced by Lord Jamar. Okay.
Let's go.
I feel like Aurora's like promoting other artists.
Well, he's like a producer, right?
Yeah, I mean, as a DJ, that's a good thing too. Like that's what DJs do, basically. So
let's get that Kai Zodiac and K9. When I get back, let's get that ready. Let's get that ready to flow.
That's right. You got it.
The whole nine with the whole royal priesthood.
Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Lord Jamar of Brand Nubian, Young Gods, featuring Young Justice and more. That was fire.
I was like, hold on. Yo, the first MC, I was like, yo, hold up. I know the voice with the flow was like, it was just like going in. They all went in.
I thought it was Lil Malik at first from that Pump Pump song that Snoop did. Remember how that young kid at the end? But obviously it's not going to be him, but he said he was 13.
Way more lyrical.
Young Justice.
But it reminded me of something. Word. Yo, you saw Aurora Borealis, mate?
No, he just submitted that. Lately, he's been submitting tracks like a DJ and just like promoting other people's tracks that he's feeling, which is cool.
It dope. It reminded me of like the Young Woo or something like that, but I'll get it. All right, that was fire though. Make some noise for that one.
Yeah, that was Young Justice. And that track was called Young God. So if y'all want to see that track, Young Justice, but it's the main artist was Lord Jamar. So I'm gonna put a link to that in the description for everybody.
Oh,
because that was.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay, that was fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, shout out to Young. Oh, shout out to the Young God. Word. Young Just right there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to run that back. That was fire.
Right. Okay.
You see, somebody said Noah featuring Killa Priest, a Mortal remix featuring Prodigal Son of Shaheem. Oh, you want us to play that? Okay, we can spin that. The Young Gods, that's the name of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's Young Just. Oh man, big up. 1, 2. Yo, that was fire right there. Dang, I didn't know they spitting like that. Yo.
All right, so the link to that is in the description for y'all. All right, let me say what that is. The Crossing, $15. Noah featuring Killa Priest. Normally we don't do it like that, but hey, I think we can make an exception for right now. What he said, Immortal remix.
Noah, I think I know Noah. Yeah, Noah featuring Killa Priest.
What is it to be
Immortal?
Live on.
I think it's called Immortal.
Yo.
Yeah.
Yo. Camouflage through the city lights. I paint pictures, faint description, fascinated with crime, abusing weed and liquor, searching for the answers. Uncle Fidel died of cancer. The polarizer or people God is your only answer. A little laughter for the good times and bad times. A day of sunshine, sharper than your deepest design. Steep with the mind, keeper of rhymes. My soul reclines. I build a gold mine to see my fam grow in time.
I feel pain and pieces that my life don't work unless I try. Cold it burns if I had wings. Would have told myself to fly. Held this world in both my arms. Climbed inside the light when dark. There I've waited for my turn. I'm still here, I never learned. All I have is memories. Hold that thought, I'm on my knees. Need tomorrow, yesterday. The immortal price I pay.
Life, living, surviving.
I don't know if life's worth dying for. Give me a reason. Give me a reason. I don't feel like I've been here before. I'm still believing. I'm still
and I'm swimming 9,000 miles back home. My whole hood happy I'm back home. I'm the backbone, Blackstone, greatest story never told. I came to the wilderness of North America alone, stomping like a giant in my corn and mashed potato tin. Taking more lying than vitamins. I'm grinding, putting it in from the bottom up, and I don't rock watches or bracelets because they remind me of handcuffs.
There's a playback in my head. Not right now, I hear it when it's so quiet. I hear my heart. Then this whole thing starts again.
Fire.
Dope.
Fire.
Cool track.
Each verse, Priest Son and Shaheem, they killed it. That was dope. And the singing, that was fire.
Yep. And I'm going to put a link to that in the chat. I mean, not in the chat, but in the description. Okay. 1 second. Cool. Yeah, normally we don't play tracks from other artists, but we made an exception on that one. Because that was cool. All right. Moving on.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next now, we got one from Ace the Supreme from Washington. Name of the track is called Flatbush.
It's a lyrical warfare. I see enemy vipers on the loose, so I think fast and place mad snipers on the roof. Spit shit that make your rappers call the truth. Spiral flows, napalm, lighters in the booth. Trick this game like a chessboard. My generals stay back on planet X while I send my rest forward. Strategic mistakes never repeated. To the plan of domination succeeded. All enemies depleted. It's worldwide when I reach around. Every battle's action-packed with bloody lethal rounds. Try to step to the back and you get beaten down. Even now these niggas so broke that they can lift a pound. Ha! DJ, let the record spin. Rent a house, I'm stacking the cabbage, so bring the lettuce in. Thinking that you fly, my nigga, you get jettisoned. COVID with the flow, for me, there ain't no medicine.
A syllable is the pinnacle of rap. Unpredictable, lyrical. It's more like a bliss when I snap. Silverback, gorilla attack, your habitat. Provocateur, I ray forth, only body stack. My law attract women clad in fine linen with frame that's accessible for like Brazilian sophomore school of hard knock. Degree in villainy, fed off your ministries, leading it to reach my divinity. Joe, I ain't your regular combat specialist. Like Nebula, my punchline register on any competitor. I'm the original man, you just a replica of a Hitler homicide when I send shots to your celica. I'm exact 6 degrees, mixes like golden fleece, neck deck with a frozen piece. It makes it the way you're moving this beat. A supremacy, divine penmanship, heresy to papacy. Death is the penalty when you
on these main streets, you could lose your watch in no time. Shorty's dream big, reality is a fucking slow climb. Blues mans, cash cows or wealthy bovines. A bad spouse, I'll trash vows, dispel the old lines. Ha! Preachers preaching my city some every day. Draw closer to God, I'll leave graffiti on every skate. The mirror image of a man in a looking glass. Recipe for disaster, planned in the cooking class. Whooping ass. Bros, I can't come and carry last. Your comedy of errors, forced laughter from an agile last. Slash brag killer. Your arm to the teeth like a conodont. We couldn't do this to the maxilla. Batter your feeble frame for faking your shine. You'll see your physical change like the slaking of lime. Abuse drugs and curse mannerless pharmacists and uppity. Yapping about flying saucers in my cup of tea.
Yo, that was great. Ace the Supreme. Yeah, good video, great beat. That was real nice. Shout out to Ace the Supreme, Flatbush. That was legit.
Get up to the bush.
They're from Washington.
Everybody on that track was fire.
Yeah, and the one who submitted that was Eccentric. You'll see him in the chat. So shout out to Eccentric.
Man, that was fire.
Damn. For real. Okay, so I'm putting that in the description for y'all to check out at home. That was really good. Yo, they just launched. Oh, no, here we go. Hold on a second. Gonna do a little magic here. Boom, boom. Y'all make sure you follow Ace the Supreme on YouTube. Link is in the description. I'm just gonna make sure that I subscribe myself, because that was straight fire. All right, link to that's in the description for y'all to check out. Really cool track. Okay, let's go. We got another submission here by Cap Jones featuring Shaba'am Sadiq. No, Shaba'am Sadiq.
Oh, shout out to Shaba'am Sadiq. That's fine.
Okay.
MC right there. Who is it? Me, him, and Hellraiser?
I'm not sure. This track is called They Needed Each Other. So let's go. Make a little adjustment here and boom.
A computer is an educational device. It is in fact a direct reflection of your own imagination, your own intelligence, your own programming skills. And once you are given the freedom in which to create things and to see the immediate response on the screen, then it becomes a very enjoyable experience. There you can broaden your own experience with the computer.
Got the time, touch my pocket for the answer. I can calculate the growth rate of cancer. AI, lay wise words on these children. Detail the Christ crucifixion. At my women, WikiLeaks the Meek's home depiction. High viscosity, now we break down friction. Regurgitated all magic 8 ball simple. Knowledge of the universe wrapped in a thimble. And the time gets shorter. This whole world's out of order. We're spilling over the borders and into our fresh waters. This world's out of order.
our voices. But we need each other, we stick together.
We're trapped in a pickle, timeline, mankind feels a ripple. Everyone attending an LED lit vigil. We don't worship God, now we bow to these sigils and fly over the world wide web like missiles. Becoming one with our escape plan is ape man, losing or simply choosing to tempt fate's hand. Make grandiose ideas of life seem basic. The fabric of society is braided.
The times get shorter. This whole world's out of order. We're spilling over the borders and into our fresh waters. This world's out of order. They feeding us this poison. They want to stifle our voices. But we need each other, we stick together.
With fiber optics, nanotech, microscopic, being visited by planes all over the tropics. The grid is coming online. You can catch it every morning with the sunrise. So you better meet it with open arms like Neil Sean on a summer night. Or get the feeling you ain't running right. An android with the apple better take a bite and kiss the future of the world goodbye. Cause they needed each other.
They needed each other, they needed the link. They needed to connect dots and get in sync. But the opposition always setting up to divide us. Have us arguing and bickering and landsliders. Electoral votes, gerrymandering and cheating. No electric votes, hitting the cross on a steeple float. Fuck cancer, it's eating lots of my people. Yo, I'm not even sure what modern medicine does anymore. Evil men in powerful places, racists, make us more sick with their medication. Face it, capitalists getting paid off our extermination.
Future of the world goodbye, cause they needed each other.
This whole world's out of order. We're spilling over the borders and into our fresh
future of the world goodbye, goodbye.
That was fire. Yo. What'd you think, Priest?
Incredible. Legendary MCs, legendary moment. Shabam Sadiq, always superb lyricist. You know what I mean? All of the cast that was on there, hold on. Everybody that was on there was killing it.
Mm-hmm. Good quality production too. Like the mix was right, beat was right, the vocals were right. I didn't hear anything to fix. That was just fire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's good?
Yeah. No, I'm just looking at something good. It was
Is Cover Boy texting you too?
Big up the Cover Boy.
Yeah, man. All right, let's keep it going. Next. You ready? Are you ready to hold it steady with a machete? Are you frozen or are you holding still right there? Is he stuck? Hey. Oh. Nope. Priest, you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they kicked me out for a second. I don't know, just.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there's a new you in town here. Hold on a second. Oh, there's two of you.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, I'm just gonna.
Which one am I?
You the bottom one. It's all good. We can work with that. Uh-oh. Okay, there you go. You're moving. Okay, let's keep it rocking. Coming up next now, we got a track here from Underland Fortress, ULF, Mexico sector, Cleveland sector in Mexico. Let's go. Name of the song is called Santa Rosa. Yo, fire, right?
Unicorn, Sumo born. Unicorn. Yeah, it's hard.
You were already writing to that.
Yeah, I was vibing to it because it was just so melodic, and it kept going. Just pulled me into that whole phase. I guess
Nice. All right, hold on. I gotta get rid of the top version here, and boom. All right.
Peace to Aurora Borealis. I see you up in the craft room. You know what I mean? Shout out to let me see, Brooklyn Baby. Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna be back on my line. Cap Jones, Danny Divine, KP on the track. Exclusive.
Yeah. Nice. Great submissions today. Let's keep going. Next up, we got Lil Da Vinci.
Yeah, he hit me. Yeah, shout out to Lil Da Vinci.
Yeah, he sent over a wave. So it's called Hydrogen. Here we go.
Underground goat, the most high, found the beat, the beast in the booth, be shooting darts, part in the sea, it's little Da Vinci, the godson, swinging my sword, the megalord, slide, water walk, talking to sharks, mark the beast, I be dropping heat, fire, I spit, macabre form, make a heavy storm, born as a god with golden arms, I minimize, civilizing the dead, the thoroughbred, the sand, I'm minimized, the message liquid eyes, it's the wise guy, spitting in high G on TMI, psychonaut, riding this door for hard frost, it's the underground boss, off a cigarette, hot like phosphorus, I profit, the underwater traveling man, my pineal gland from the wise dome, tapping my zone, aquatic throne from the cosmos, quotable gauze, swim with the cards, from a paw, I blast off, painting like Ross, walk with a trident, the wise man spitting so violent, I supply weight straight from the underground, you hear the sound, ground shake, water world, womb verse, on higher hertz, God birth lurking the waters, in ancient pharaoh. Piece of the gods and earth's Lil Da Vinci. I'm out of here. One.
Hey, what you think?
Shout out to Lil Da Vinci.
Yeah. Yo, Lil Da Vinci, send me the stems to that. I want to like take a shot at that mix. But that was fire. I like what you spitting. But send me those stems.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I got a whole bunch of stems for you when I get back.
Yeah? I'm ready.
Yeah, I got some stems.
Nice, I'm ready. I've been ready here. Let's do it.
Yep.
Okay, I think it's time for our grand finale.
Hey, make some noise.
You already know.
Overjoyed.
Mm-hmm. All right, you already know who it is.
Zodiac.
That's right, Ka Zodiac. Let's go. We're gonna go full screen.
Soviet.
This track is called Pendulum Swing. Let's go.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants. When I found out there were 8 presidents before George Washington, I wanted to smack somebody. You know, I wanted to know why I was taught otherwise. Just tell me the whole story. I'll fill in the blanks.
Are you ready for the pendulum swing? That brings us back on the top, where we meant to be kings. They say my mental has wings. Too brilliant for you. Introducing a man who embodies a revolution. Time in my DNA, thoughts beyond human. There's only winning, I fought beyond losing. Cop street fight in the courts, the Your jurisdiction is rooted in pure fiction. Make the captain jump ship, either exit or execution. My music shock and eclectic electrocution. I always said when I reach heaven, I'm never moving. Truman Show, the stage became small. There ain't no room to blow. My vibe is so high in the hood, I'm like a UFO. Marty McSide, I got that back to the future glow. Our backs against the law, cause we forgot what we used to know. Return of the ancient one. Why the smart plaguing dumb? You looking so lame when I rhyme, put you to shame for fun. You being chased with freedom's at stake. I make the agents run. Every zombie's a potential god, sleepwalking. Freedom's calling to you wake inside a deep coffin. Rockin' moccasins, popping enough fedora and pouring bottles up. Incredible thoughts of my supporters, but you ain't taking time for exploring your own aura. So you trapped in a trap and you cornered on the corner. The cheese you rats is chasing ain't worth the half of this course. And your galactic god warrior, rapid and art formula. Pay attention when I stand at the podium. You rappers check for bars, I'm checking who's gotten over them. And it ain't even that you weak when you rap. You bring scoop and get the puddles like you deep when you lack the basic nutrients for me to even eat you for snack. Smack you brutally, and I ain't even need to attack. But trying to be on trap beats instead of being in the trap.
The Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society. I don't fear, no, my soul's with me.
In the mission, we gonna let it breathe for just a second. Let you catch your breath. Cool off for a minute, cause we about to turn it up. Because I ain't scared like your parents these days to say your music sucks. But I got news for us. That ain't your music, that's a government experiment geared to shoot your future up. Like Sierra Leone, not the singer, he without sin. I threw this capstone at all you thinkers. The judgment bringer, I come with 100 Incas. Cacao Olmec, my queen's the color of Medina. Avocado mask, skins like butter on the features. My window never had the smoke screen of non-believers. And these days you can't tell the dawns from who's the deepest. I'm hot before the fever unlocked. The door that keeps you in prison and hard to reach it with wisdom from out the ethers. My record is an ancient script. Historians be reaching in they crates to get. My creative gift is an ancient myth told for generations. The soul of many nations and one man who's taken the head of plain sayings. The
day spin and slip through my fingers just like grains of sand. You feel you hate, I am the sun here to awaken man. The dawn of a new day, rise and get ready. My mind, it gets heavy while blacks dance. Connect the words melanin and melody. Don't meddle with the pedals, be gentle on the brakes. Your body is the world's soup when they sent you from outer space. Murder without a case, a burglar without a safe. Through each hole they spiral kundalini like a shoe. The serpent is like the lace, dispersed without a trace, like ghosts without a face. In this life, my soul's out of its place. Who's the Anunnaki from planet rock flow is amazing grace. God bless me with telepathy, excellence to ecstasy, submersion of the continent, probably make an extra C. I make an extra me, binary star system programmer for Mars destiny, planetary projection of light that makes holograms. Hollow man made of space dust, Akashic sand, Nirvana the promised land. I'm written upon a lamb, invisible sonogram, predicted the common man. Give tickets for web traffic and digital contraband. Hold up a lost call and admitting that I'm the man. Just, no doubt. Right. From a cosmic gravesite, buried in dark matter, when pages in the book of life became lengthened in large chapters. You can't spit your song after a lyrical born master with spiritual core valor. Each lyric is stores hammered, don't bicker with horse manners. I'm gifted with more answers for lyrics that cause cancer, verbal intercourse, tantra. Yo. PR to Atlanta to Lemuria, Atlantis. Yo, they can't handle this. Didn't read the manuscript. My ship just appeared on the earth without landing it. Then I vanished quick.
Yeah, give him up a bomb, bro.
Advantage of your birthright and inheritance without you catching on to it. What you have been taught is that you're not from here. You've been taught that you're an alien.
And you don't even challenge it even in your own mind. That's slavery. And it's a pact you just made with them. And so you've agreed to a fraudulent jurisdiction that they created. And then it makes it legal because you're great.
So when you're out of your culture, you are out of your living mind. And it's very dangerous when somebody else defines your thought pattern. And whose education are you getting? You can't get a good education in these universities. What I'm teaching you today, none of it came from their institutions. Brothers and sisters, your best education is to go to the source. Go to the source.
That was crazy.
Wow.
Yo, that was crazy.
Another.
Zodiac, man, yo. Yeah, dudes. I'll tell everybody, man, take notes. When MC step in the building, you know the aura, you know the sound, you know the timing, you know everything they put into it, because you're gifted by even listening to that. That's a jewel in the time. Hip hop should be happy right now. I'm just glad he on a royal priesthood, right in the family.
Yeah, man.
I should be happy celebrating to the whole craft room. This is MCing.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. It's a Ka Zodiac experience.
Yep.
That's how I see it, man. He's getting better and better. You notice that?
Well, I think he was always, he's getting more relaxed. I think he's always dope. Word. He just advances. He just keep advancing.
Cap Jones says Ka Zodiac out here outworking the whole internet.
It's incredible.
That's true. So y'all make sure you follow in case you don't yet.
Shout out to Ka. Yeah.
Go to Ka Zodiac's YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and check out all his phenomenal productions, yo. Each one of them is an experience. And I highly suggest y'all sit down with headphones or a really good sound system to experience all of these productions, man, because it's a trip. It's a trip. And some of them are a little...
The Ka.
Yeah, it's epic.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are a little overwhelming, too. It's like, oh, man. It's a lot to digest, but it's really good. So I'm going to put the link to that last track in the description box for y'all to check out so y'all can run it back at home, and make sure you subscribe.
Okay.
Man. That was fire. All right, let me check for any last minutes. And that does it for today. So, for everybody at home, if you guys are interested in submitting tracks for the next song promotion segment, which will be on Monday, go to killapriest.tv/song promo. The link is in the description. All the info is at that site. These song promotions are great, not only to promote your song, but to promote your channel and you as an artist as well. Many people watch back these episodes time and time again. Yeah, that was a great segment.
Yeah. Yo, that sake got me like,
You had sake?
Yeah. Ooh, sake shot.
Sake got you rocky.
Yeah. Let me tell you. Yo, man, tune in. I'll be in the building next time. And I'm gonna be there. We're gonna get it in. Shout out to everybody in the podcast. Thank you, Chuck Morgan, for coming through, dropping so much wisdom. I mean, you're always welcome on the rocket. For everybody out there, have a beautiful weekend. Stay up, stay blessed. You know, keep it podcast every day. And make sure y'all hit subscribe. Tell people to tune in. We're only getting stronger and stronger, man.
Facts.
Thanks, AD holding it down.
Thank you.
Yo, you holding it down in every way. We got more music on the way. Yo, what we going out with?
I was thinking Jasmine and Nana from Mr. Universe.
Let's go.
All right. We'll see y'all next time on Monday. Have a great weekend. Peace.
We still on?
Sent a rocket to Nebula, Milky Way. Uncharted areas where you watching vanilla. Star Trekker, you an astronaut interstellar. Aboard a rainbow blimp with chakra propellers. The Metanetra, Nikola Tesla. Tetrahedron, Phoenix Elder. Dragon Impaler, Demon Expeller. Orb spider webs above my head like dream catchers. The tarot card Queen Esther. The pharaoh god King Scepter. Several scars on his back, wings severed. Elohim shepherd, supreme message. I bring in records when your life seemed wreckaged. The reckoning, problems of Mount Everest. But you climb it till you reach higher climates. Becoming timeless, walking down the timeline like Sahara Green Desert. Team effort, that's why I write to redeem peasants. Show them they light beams, though it might seem that their life's questioned. Though the world is cold, remember ice can be seen as fluorescent. So start adjusting, I'm just suggesting. You in God presence, mind enhancers, they are answers to your hard questions. Stop the obsessive, overthinking. Do bipolar maintenance, control our drinking. Start addressing, if it's too strong. I never used to do morns, till I discovered oolong. Jasmine and Nana, my tea Nirvana. Korean espresso, Gali coffee. Brewing. Japan water pots. I scoop my tea leaves out of Pandora's box. Is Machiavelli cinch your ballin' hot? Or cappuccino blow the cream off the top? I'm in the temples where the walls are orange rocks. Sit down with your boss, have a conversation. With your ex or yourself, more calm, less patience. Cause they're being at 50, still not taking accountability. A cup of jasmine and honor, aroma, liberty. You're sipping tea, living free, that's your victory. Everything's real and upfront, no mysteries. Some of y'all in relationships need releasing ships. And while you taste success, they taking demon sips. Nah, bingy riffs, enjoy my dish. Rice and peas and kingfish. Jasmine and nana.